Yeah, baby! Welcome. My name is Brian, and I am joined here today with Matthew Cadis, the Grand Poobah Cages himself, over at the Salty Nerd Podcast. Shane is very sick. He called me and he's like, I'm not going to do the show today. And I'm like, I got it, buddy. Matt gratefully filled in. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good, otherwise known as Bizarro Shane. And Shane's just sick of doing stuff with you, Brian.
That's what it is.
He's sick in general, yeah.
He's like, you know what?
Brian, you give me a fever, and the only prescription is to not live stream.
It's a No Money G said the Salty Popcast Culture Unleashed show. All right, guys. Well, today we're talking about Superman Legacy casting. Millie Alcock has been chosen, and we're going to go over that, plus the rest of the cast, which is filling out nicely. Star Trek Section 31, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and a weekly weird that's guaranteed to put your tinfoil hats a-buzzing. Okay, so we're going to jump into it pretty quick here. First off, send out your thoughts and prayers to Shane, because he did sound pretty rough. And I think he has a fever of like 105 or something crazy, which can't be good. You can boil water at a certain temperature, and he's getting there. And just send those thoughts and prayers. And if you want to support us, hit the super chat, hit the join button. We are looking for a couple members today. The memberships have been growing on the channel, which is fantastic. We thank you guys. We want to keep that going. And that's it. Let's just jump right into it, so we don't waste no time. So the casting that came out is Millie Alcock. Millie Alcock is from House of the Dragon. I don't know if you guys recall. Not pretty good casting in my opinion. She has that fierce look. She has the slight build. It definitely works for me. I made some AI art with her. I just some Photoshop to it to sort of see what she would look like in the Man of Steel uniform or costume, and she looked really good. What do you think about this casting, Matt?
I think this is kind of a non-story. My co-host Matt Vader very gently referred to her as an Uggo, so we're a little bit split on this. Like, I did like her in House of the Dragon. She's blonde, she's a woman, so she fits the role, I guess. The real question I have about this is, are they going to allow her to be sexy or pretty in the movie? Because I don't know about you, Brian, but when I was a young lad in the 80s and I saw Helen Slater in the first Supergirl movie, I quickly started growing hair on my face, and my voice got deeper, and I became a man, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
And
the original Wonder Woman, Linda, whatever her name was.
Yeah, Linda Carter. There's this whole aspect to the Supergirl character beyond just like her connection to Superman, which is basically, it's kind of like She-Ra to He-Man, right? Young boys want to look at Supergirl and fall in love with her. And the real question is, what are the plans for the Alcock Supergirl? Is she going to be, is she going to be a sex symbol for young men? Like, is she going to be something that stands uniquely feminine in the DC universe? Like, what are James Gunn's plans for her on her own, as opposed to being part of like this tapestry that he's getting ready to weave? So I don't think she's as ugly as Matt Vader thinks she is.
Matt Vader thinks Zendaya is like a top tier, top 10. So,
only ironically, Brian.
Okay, so it's ironically, because I met Matt Vader's wife, and he has good taste, clearly. So I'm not sure see where he's going with the Zendaya thing, but.
Well, Alcock did beat out a lot of other talented actresses, but I think she looks the part. But other than that, I feel like this is just kind of like a nothing story, because it's like, who cares until we actually see some footage, like what this is going to be. I took a lot of fire a couple years ago for complaining about the Birds of Prey movie, and saying that they did their best to just eliminate any sex appeal from that movie.
Yeah, I agree.
And the question I have is, are they going to continue with that trend? Because I know that in the Flash movie, where he has Supergirl, very attractive actress, but they made her look like a little boy.
Yeah, that was
And
odd. She is so attractive. And in that movie, there's no sex appeal whatsoever. It's very odd to me.
yeah, it's the Sarkeesian effect, where it's like, oh, if you have anything that attracts the male gaze in your video game or movie or TV show, you are instantly demeaning women. And it's like, well, a lot of these comic books are male escapist fantasy, and you want
Right.
to attract men to come and see these things. Like the worst thing that they could do with this casting is make Supergirl like another Rey Skywalker, where basically they're trying to make her like a role model for young women. And
Right.
to a certain extent, you can do that, but you need to appeal to the male demographic if you really want to get the numbers that are going to continue feeding your cinematic universe.
Well, I think they did that. They did that with Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman. She was beautiful. She was a sex symbol for sure, and she also had the "I'm a strong woman" role model, thing going on in the original Wonder Woman. I'm not sure about 1984 or whatever, but
well, that was rapey Wonder Woman. That was the one where she
whatever.
basically took a random dude, had him
right.
be possessed
Yeah.
by the ghost of her former lover.
She literally just raped a guy, and everyone cheered. And you're like,
everyone was like, oh, that's cool, that's fine.
Hmm.
Just take away a dude's free will and use him as a sex toy. It's perfectly fine.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. When they're writing that script, I don't think anyone brought up the fact at how problematic that was.
Well, I think that was mostly what's her name, Patty Jenkins. Like she was like, oh, this is fine. Like we're doing this dude a favor having him sleep with Gal Gadot.
Which, to be fair, I would see it as a favor as well. But so there's some interesting news about this though. Is originally it was Millie Alcock, Amelia Jones, and Meg Donnelly, sort of in the running for Supergirl. And interesting enough, they all were supposed to come in for screen testing, and Amelia Jones was like, my record speaks for itself. I don't need to come in for screen testing. So she refused to read. And
what else has she done?
Right. I had never heard of her.
Yeah,
apparently she's been in these movies, which Lock and Key, I guess, is the only thing I've ever heard of here.
Oh, Lock and Key. Yeah, she I remember her from that. She's very attractive. She's
very cute. But I mean, okay, dude, you don't want to come in and read? All right, bye, I guess. I don't understand.
I'm an artiste. My work speaks for itself.
But it's such a weird thing. She's so young. Like even people like Oscar winners still read for a role. Like it makes no sense. In my opinion, she didn't want to do it, and her people gave her that out. But that's a bad out because that makes you look like a bitch, to be honest.
Well, I don't think anyone is going to hear about that except for like the people casting the movie.
I mean, there's multiple articles about it, but yeah.
I mean, if you hadn't brought it up, I would have never known about it. So,
and then we also had Meg Donnelly. She was in the mix, and she looks the part, for sure. She has like very dark eyebrows, and there's something about her that
the carpets don't match the curtain. Is that what you're
right?
saying?
Yeah, something about her doesn't work for me. Yeah, she looks like
what's she been in?
A bunch of teen nonsense. American Housewife. She was the daughter of American Housewife. She was the voice of like future Supergirl in a couple cartoons, so that's probably why she was in the running. But ultimately, I think they chose the right person with Millie Alcock.
Yeah, if Gunn was involved in the casting, like he's got a pretty good eye for talent, I think. So
yes, and I think she's a good actress, and I don't think Meg Donnelly is there yet. I think she's still incredibly young, and she's not really a savant. I didn't even know who the other person was until I heard that she didn't read. Millie Alcock, though, she really impressed me in House of the Dragon, and I fully expected not to like that show. Everyone else was loving it, and I was like, that means I'm probably not gonna like it because it took me a while to get into Game of Thrones as it was, and now it's like the main character is like this little girl, but it worked for me. She did really well, so I think she's a good actress. I think she looks the part, and I think she has the capability of looking, mean when she needs to. And remember, Supergirl does she doesn't control her emotions as well as Superman does. So often, not because she's a woman, okay? It's not because she's a woman. is because she
also because she's a woman.
It's because she hasn't been here as long. she got her later on in life, so she wasn't raised by the Kents.
Do Kryptons menstruate? I'm just wondering.
Imagine that. Imagine a Kryptonian with PMSing.
Oh man, blow a hole in the earth.
So a couple more things about this.
Superman have to lock her up in this fortress of solitude.
He's gotta put her. He's gotta put her out.
It's that time of the month, Supergirl. You have to go to the fortress of solitude.
Yeah. Come on, Supergirl. Let's go. We don't want you melting any brains. So
she becomes like a supervillain 3 days out of this.
She's like the main antagonist 3 days out of the month. That's so boring.
Well, it's funny because, like, according to the article, this version of Supergirl, Gunn's Supergirl, is going to be a little bit more volatile than the Supergirls of previous years. At least she's not like that weird clone that Lex Luthor made for like a sex slave or whatever it was.
Oh, Power Girl or something?
No, it wasn't Power Girl. It was basically around the time of the Death of Superman comic book.
Mm-hmm.
Supergirl was like this weird like clone that Lex Luthor had created.
And didn't she have like huge boobs?
No, she was just a regular Supergirl.
So that was Power Girl.
She wasn't really Kara Zor-El. No, it wasn't Power Girl. Power Girl is like an alternate Superman.
Oh, I see.
This Supergirl, it was like they killed off the original Supergirl, and then they brought her back as like a weird, like shape-shifting clone thing. And she got in a relationship with Lex Luthor, and then like they decided that her stuff was too complicated. Her backstory was too complicated to sell toys, and so like they killed that one off, and then brought back the original Supergirl as just Superman's cousin. It was like a really weird kind of time for Supergirl.
Yeah, I remember probably being like 15 or 16 or whatever, and seeing Supergirl in like the short Daisy Dukes. The cut off Daisy Dukes and the crop top, and I'm like,
have you ever played Injustice?
I have, yes, yeah.
So Injustice 2 made Supergirl like a kind of front and center in the story, and she had a pretty interesting arc in that game.
Yeah, you got to give her the classic costume too, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So this is what James Gunn said on Instagram. By the way, James Gunn needs to stop using threads. No one uses threads. No one cares.
I think that actually works in his favor.
Yeah, it might. It might. Like, apparently he dropped this news before Deadline did, but it was on threads, and just no one paid attention.
Yeah, no one uses threads.
No one uses threads.
No one.
All right, so this is what he said. This is accurate. Millie is fantastically talented young actor, and I'm incredibly excited about her being a part of the DCU. Yes, I am. I first became aware of her in the House of the Dragon, but I was blown away by her varied auditions and screen tests for Supergirl. She embodies Kara as envisioned by Tom King and Anna Nogueira, whatever her name is. Okay, so this actually finishes the casting for the main casting for Superman Legacy, and so I want to quickly go through this because I think this is a good. Look. I love me Henry Cavill. I love my boy Henry Cavill. I'm going to watch him in Argyle later on today or tomorrow. I'm going to watch him in the new Guy Ritchie film. I will watch him in anything. Okay, Henry Cavill is he's my movie star. And he's my favorite Superman. But we don't have him anymore. That's it. What we have now is what my brother likes to call Henry Cavill, discount Henry Cavill, the Wish.com version.
But is it corn sweat or corn sweet?
I think it's corn sweat.
That's some sweaty corn right there.
Yeah, I think it's corn. I think it's sweaty corn, and I think that he's been bulking up. Like, there's a couple Instagram photos and stuff that he's been putting out where he is just like getting ripped, man.
Yeah.
What is it with these? Like, clearly there is a drug that just gives you it gives you gains, because these guys
steroids, Brian.
I know, but like, I mean, are they legal, or are they taking the illegal variant, or what? Because this guy was scrawny up until like 2 years ago. Now he's like massive.
I mean, what do you call it? Sylvester Stallone, he's still doing HGH and all that stuff. So
he's too old for that. He should stop. You end up with a heart attack.
Don't ever tell me to stop.
Yeah, this is what he looked like when he got cast, right? Where's the other? I couldn't find the other photo. There's a bunch. Go look at his Instagram. It's crazy. He's super ripped. But I do think this is good casting. I think he looks like if we didn't ever hand Henry Cavill, like let's say the last 10 years, 12 whatever years didn't happen, and we got this news, we'd be like, yeah, that guy looks like Superman.
I mean, he looks better than Brandon Routh.
Yeah, and I like Brandon Routh as a person. I didn't like him as Superman. All right. And then we got Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Cannot be. That's like literally perfect casting. And if you recall, I was in your studio when we were talking about the final run, 3 runners for this, and I said it's going to be Rachel Brosnahan. She's just too perfect.
I think she was really good as the marvelous Miss Maisel.
Yep.
She seems like she's got like the wit that Amy Adams never quite had. You know, like the sharp biting kind of like quippy dialogue.
Yeah,
like,
quippy but still feminine.
Yeah,
not like masculine. Yeah. It's like a feminine quip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's perfect. My God, she's perfect for the role. And then my favorite casting. How long have we been asking for this?
I know, right? Like he's starting to get up there in age. So like there was a very narrow window where he could have pulled something like this off.
Right. This was the window was closing. And since literally like 2003, 2004, when he started doing the voice of the Green Lantern on the cartoon shows, everyone was like, this guy needs to be Green Lantern. This guy needs to be Green Lantern. What's going on?
Do you remember back in the day when everyone was saying he needs to be like the guy in Uncharted, right? Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
And the development of that took so long that he just aged out of the role. You know.
No, and
he did that one short on YouTube.
He did the short, right?
Yeah,
no, but it's funny. Like they actually were he was going to be Nathan Drake, but yeah, it took so long to finally get going that they ended up going with Tom Holland.
Yep.
And so this is really good news for me because literally since before I was an adult, I have been listening to this guy do Green Lantern, and I've been waiting. I'm a huge fan of Nathan Fillion from Firefly to Slither, a bunch of James Gunn stuff. He's just The Rookie is a great show. I'm not a fan of police procedurals type TV, but he makes pretty much every role he's in, he makes fun and sort of charming, and he's the perfect Green Lantern. And I'm glad that we're gonna get him before it's too late, because it was really close to being too late.
Yep.
And then
he was also in The Suicide Squad, right? Wasn't he the guy who could like detach his limbs and got like killed on the beach like right away?
That was the Suicide, like the good. I'm gonna call it the good Suicide Squad because it was a lot better than the original. Yeah, he was the detachable boy.
Yeah,
and he's like, I got this, and he detaches all of his limbs,
his arms.
Yeah, and they're like flying to the enemy, and the enemy just shoots him. He's like, ah!
Yeah, he just dies instantly.
Worst superpower ever.
I was also like, what a waste of Nathan Fillion.
Right, and I think that was the point. James Gunn made that too.
Yeah,
and I think the point was like, we're gonna get all these like big name actors, like, and we'll make them the diversion, and it worked. It worked. It was they all just died. I mean, that's the point of Suicide Squad. Everyone in the original Suicide Squad, not enough people died. Not enough of the Suicide Squad died.
Yeah, not enough suicides in Suicide Squad.
So that's gonna be great. And then Isabella Merced, hot girl. Don't forget, she also played Dora the Explorer. And I feel creepy saying this, but because she's played Dora the freaking Explorer, but she is super attractive. So I don't.
I feel bad for that one.
Jesus, who did this? Who did that? Who did that? I'm not saving that. How dare you? But hot girl, yeah, it's worked. Now she can play a young hot girl, which makes a lot of sense. If this is Superman Legacy, then hot girl would be very young, because by the time we get to her arc, if we ever do, that is when that's when she'll age into that storyline where her people come to take over the Earth.
Well, I also feel bad for Aldous Aldous Hodge, who played Hawkman in the Black Adam movie,
Right.
because that was, he was supposed to be like the guy who starts like what was it, the Justice League America,
The Justice Society.
Justice Society, yeah. And he was supposed to have like a big role going forward in the DCU, and now it's just like, nope.
Well, I mean, technically he can. Hawk Girl and Hawk Man or Hawk Guy, whatever it's called, are completely separate. Hawk Girl.
But how do you go forward using that character without The Rock as Black Adam? Or because I know that James Gunn's wife was in that movie too, so like he's still keeping her around,
right? So that,
but like there's such a mess here where it's like, okay, you're still using Peacemaker, and but Superman's not Henry Cavill, and Batman's someone different, and like it's such a weird mixture of old and new, that it's confusing.
I don't know how they're gonna do it, but technically, canonically, they can, because there are multiple origins of Hawk Girl and Hawk Guy, and one of the origins, and this is my preference, by the way, this is the one I like. I don't like the one where they're like cursed by some magical stone a million years ago. That's harder to believe. Where she is actually from a planet of these Hawk people, basically, and they use nth metal. And Hawk Guy actually crash landed here separately and has the origins, but doesn't remember anything of it. So he grew up and lived his life as a human the way Superman did. So they're not like related in any way.
It sounds like you're saying Hot Guy and Hot Girl.
Hot Girl and Hot Guy.
Yeah. The dynamic duo. Hotness.
Either way, I like this casting because Hawk Girl, you could have fallen into the trap where you got someone like some super masculine like WWE Ronda Rousey or whatever, and it would have killed it for me.
Is she going to speak nothing but Spanish?
I hope so. Anthony Carrigan as Metamorpho.
He already looks the part, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got that weird albinoism where he doesn't have like hair or eyebrows or anything.
This guy was literally born to play this role.
He's great in Barry.
Yeah, he's amazing in Barry. He's so good. He's outstanding in that show. Yeah, this guy was born with all the ailments necessary to play this specific role. If he doesn't knock out of the park, you're like, dude, you were born for this. What happened?
Yeah, and you know that Gunn's going to give him the polka dot man treatment. He's going to take this awkward actor and this, very minor character, and he's going to blow him up into like this amazing character that just steals the movie.
Right.
It's going to be great.
I hope so. Yeah, I think so too. And I love Anthony Carrigan. He's awesome. He also played like some crazy henchman in a DC show. I think it was called Gotham.
It was Gotham. He played he played Zazaz or whatever that serial killer's name is.
He was fantastic in that.
It was a terrible show though.
The show was not good. He was good. So Edie Gathegi, I can't do these guys' names. He's playing Mr. Terrific. Also, he looks the part, and he's a good actor. He played a recurring role in a show called Blacklist, which I liked a lot up until the last few seasons.
He also had a major role in For All Mankind that he was really good in. But I just see him as the Twilight guy. He's just the black vampire from Twilight.
Yeah, he does. That's right. Now you reminded me of Mom. Now my brain is attaching his face to that movie again.
Now, are they making Mr. Terrific gay again or no? Because he was gay in the Flash or the Arrowverse stuff.
Oh,
right?
they're not gonna do. There's no way to do that. Because if they want to continue with him, and they're trying to stick to the comic books, then eventually he gets married, and one of his arcs is like revenge, and like the Justice League has to stop him for trying.
He can get married to a man. This is 2024, Brian.
Just stop. just stop. I don't think
nothing wrong with being a black gay man superhero out for revenge.
I mean, if there was already a gay superhero, go for it. But whatever. I don't think he's playing. I don't think he's gonna be gay.
He's terrific.
He is. I'm Mr. Terrific. Good casting though, man. The guy looks the part. He's a good actor. It's like James Gunn is finding people that not only look the role, but also have the chops. Not just, oh, you look like this character. No, these guys are good actors. This guy does this guy not scream Jimmy Olsen to you?
Have you ever seen the Santa Clarita Diet?
Yes, I have.
So fantastic show.
Fantastic.
Nathan Fillion was also on it.
Yeah, he played the head.
Yeah, he played the head,
guys.
The zombie head.
Yeah.
But this guy was also like the next door neighbor's kid, who would like help the the zombie family next door, and he was fantastic in that role. He was just so awkward, so naturally awkward and funny.
It's like, hey, she's trying to eat me. Yeah, he was great. Yeah, he was great, and he's playing. And this is what I like. This is what I love, actually. Remember when we watched Batman vs Superman, the Snyder variant, Jimmy Olsen? We didn't even know that was Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, he died right away.
He died right away. He didn't look anything like Jimmy Olsen.
He looked like a GQ model.
Right. He looked like he literally just stepped out of an Abercrombie and Fitch catalog and picked up a camera. It didn't work.
Also, I'm wondering if they're going to change him from being like a photographer to a videographer, because it just seems like photography, like everyone has like their cell phones nowadays. You don't need to be like a professional news photographer anymore.
Oh, that makes sense. If he's holding like a DSLR camera that has video and photo or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it works though. I really liked it a lot. It's really good casting in my opinion. Nicholas Hoult. Now, I was on the fence on this one. He's a good actor, but he is so scrawny.
Well, I don't know. Like I watched him in The Great on Hulu, where he played like
he played
he played Peter the Great's son. He was the Emperor of Russia.
Yeah, and his English wife that he had to get betrothed to him or whatever, right?
Well,
she's
was
really hot in that movie.
It was a German wife, but he's pretty ripped in that show. Like he bulked up. But me personally, I would have liked to have seen Bryan Cranston as Lex Luthor. Like that, I'm always like, Bryan 100%. Cranston would be the perfect Lex Luthor. I feel like
too old.
I feel like Holt is too young for the role. Actually.
Yeah, but I feel like Bryan Cranston is too old for this time in Superman's life. They have to be a comparable age.
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure that Holt is a good enough actor where he can pull this off. It's not going to be an Eisenberg type thing where he's just playing crazy Joker light. The Mark Zuckerberg version of Joker.
Would you like a candy?
Yeah. Would you open your mouth?
Open your mouth. Take this candy in your mouth.
Oh God, he was so bad. He was so bad.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Feeding the guy a Jolly Rancher was just so weird. I do believe that he could have been very good at that role. I think his direction was bad. I think that
Zack Snyder, yeah. So
I think they told him to play sort of a crazy genius guy, and they didn't give him enough direction. It was a mistake. It could have been better. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, way better.
So that's my only casting where I'm like, he's great. He's a great actor. He looks the role. You better shave that head.
I forget the guys he beat out for that role. Like there were a couple other dudes that I didn't think were right for it that were up for being cast as Luthor. But
he was the best of the group.
I'm pretty happy with Holt. I think that wasn't he rumored to be in the running for Superman as well?
Yeah, it was him, Cornyn Sweat, and 3 other people. So when Cornyn Sweat got the job, we thought he was just Gunn, and then he got the job. You know what's funny? What if he read and James Gunn was like, you know what? This role is not for you. I need you to be Lex Luthor.
You know what though? Holt is a really talented comedic actor. The guy has some amazing comedic timing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does.
He's almost like Chris Hemsworth in that respect.
Yeah, we'll see what he does with it. I don't even know who this character is. I feel like not a very big DC fan right now because I've never heard of this character.
Yeah, I've never heard of her either.
Yeah. So as far as the casting goes, I guess if that's the comic book version of her and that's the real actress, they look the same. So okay.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So I have some trepidation about this whole thing.
Okay.
A little bit. Because to me, it looks like we've got this huge cast of very recognizable characters, and Supergirl might be involved in this as well. We don't know. But it seems to me like I don't want them to go down the Zack Snyder route where you pack so many characters into a movie that none of them get their due attention, and they distract from the main character of the movie, which is supposed to be Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you just create this really convoluted thing as a way to launch, like, spin-offs, for your expanded universe. To me, I feel like if it was just like Superman, Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, and Jimmy Olsen, I'd be like, okay, like I feel comfortable going for it. But because there are so many other characters that they're layering into this, I'm a little bit worried that we're going to have like one of those things where the main character of the movie isn't actually the main character of the movie. It's an ensemble piece with all these other things that you don't care about, you don't know, and they don't have time to properly set up. Now, I do have faith in James Gunn's ability as a director and a writer.
Mm-hmm.
He's very good at making good movies, in my opinion.
Right.
But seeing like this huge cast of characters, it's like, do we really need a Green Lantern in Superman's first film? Do we really need Hawkgirl? Do we really need Mr. Terrific? Like, why are we putting all these people into Superman's movie? Yeah,
that's a really good point. The movie can only be so long. It's not a TV series, right?
Yep.
It's not Suicide Squad where it makes sense to have 15 characters.
And DC has like a long history. Like if you go back to the Tim Burton Batman films, where it's like Batman Returns,
right?
It was about Catwoman and Penguin. It wasn't about Batman,
right?
So like going forward, it's just like hey, so once you get to Spider-Man 3, it's about Venom and Sandman. It's not even about Spider-Man to a certain extent,
right? He's just like their catalyst.
Yeah. So like I feel like James Gunn's a talented enough writer and director to avoid that type of thing, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel like they might be overloading this cast a little bit with side characters that are going to take the oxygen out of the room. So
that's a really good point, and I think you're right, because like there isn't enough time. So maybe they announce these, maybe there's nods to them, maybe they're cameos. And maybe James Gunn is just sort of trying to solidify them for a greater roles in the future.
Well, that's obviously he's obviously setting the stage to do spin-offs with these characters.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, will that come at the expense of Superman? Right.
Right. So, I don't know. That's a good point. Yeah, it better be about Superman. What if he is writing? Oh, here's a thought. And I've heard this before with other franchises and movies. What if he's writing more than one at a time? Like, yeah, we're doing Superman Legacy, but what if he's writing like the entire trilogy out, and he's got to lock it in?
I'm sure that he's writing a lot of stuff. He's writing the Creature Commandos. He's writing season 2 of Peacemaker. Like he's a talented enough guy where he can like sit down and plot all that stuff out and then like write what he needs to write. But the whole thing about a trilogy is like, if you want people to pay attention to your trilogy, you have to really nail the first movie. Mm-hmm. And so like when it comes to like something like Superman Legacy, I'm wondering, okay, is there a place like in the future where we have like all these characters in their full superhero regalia, and Superman is out of the picture, and it's flashing back to like they're his legacy because like he inspired them to become superheroes, and we're flashing back to like his origin story or something like that.
Yeah, they did that with the League. Remember that there was a comic book where it showed where time was getting altered because Superman was dying too early, and a bunch of these characters from like the League in the future, like in the future version of the League, were coming back to try to save him from dying too early because they were phasing out of existence, like their entire futures, and like what made them superheroes. They did not become heroes, and they didn't save all these people and do all these amazing things because Superman wasn't there to inspire them because he died too early.
There's also a big Superman like kind of like mini series where basically he flies too close to the sun, he absorbs too much of the radiation, and he realizes that he's dying. And it's just kind of like him, like, saying goodbye to friends and getting ready to pass away. And and kind of like setting the stage for the Earth to be protected after he's gone and stuff like that. I forget the name of the series, but that's like one of the seminal Superman storylines. I'm wondering if James Gunn might be kind of like co-opting that, where basically Superman has a part to play like in the past of Gunn's DC universe.
No, this is the book that he's basing everything on. Or at least that's what he said. This was the book that he started reading before he started reading. It's called Kingdom Come. And it has a lot of these characters.
Yeah, but that's like an Elseworld type thing. I'm just wondering. Yeah, I'm just wondering.
All-Star Superman. That's what it's called. Thank you, Wolverine.
Yeah, All-Star Superman. Yeah, that's the correct one. So I'm wondering, like, because it's called Superman Legacy, I'm wondering if we're getting like a split narrative where, we see like, kind of like maybe the start of Superman or the end of Superman, and then it's cutting back and forth to a different time period within James Gunn's grand plan that's introducing all these other characters that can then go off to do their own movie.
I like that. I like that idea a lot. Then it's not crowded, That would be the best, in my opinion. That would be the best option. And then we can get the introductions, and we still get our Superman movie. So he said, you remember what he said? It's not a reboot, but you're like, well, he's starting back at the planet, blah blah. Well, maybe it's not a reboot. Maybe it's just jumping around a lot, sort of setting up the stage.
Honestly, the best thing I think Gunn could have done would have been like a Crisis of Infinite Earths to bring the Snyder universe to a close and then start up like a whole new like DCU.
Yep.
Like that would have been the thing that made the most sense to me.
And then you could have had people cross over from the dying universes. You want Peacemaker and your wife in it, bro? You want Jason Momoa still playing Aquaman? Then during that entire process, have a couple of them just drop back in. Like they drop in before everything goes kaput, and they're stuck on Earth 616 or whatever it is, and that's the new Earth. Here we are.
Yep.
I think the CW messed that up because those bastards did Crisis of Infinite Earths, and they really did a poor job of it. And it was pretty recently. It was like 5 years ago. A lot of people are remembering that.
You don't need to worry about the Arrowverse when it comes to the cinematic stuff because they were separate from the movies for the most part.
Right.
Even though like you did have them Flash crossover for like an episode or two. But the idea here would be like give the Snyderverse a swan song, give them some closure, and then launch into something new. I think that the fans would have gotten behind that if they had just done like one big or even like a 2-part movie of like the Crisis on Infinite Earths and then like launched into like the reboot that James Gunn wanted to do. I think that would have been the smart play personally.
Yeah, I think so too. That would have been outstanding. And you know what I would have also done? Not talked about it.
Yeah, before all those other movies came out.
I wouldn't have said a word. I would have kept my mouth shut and just been like, we're working on it. And have shots of me reading comic books and drinking coffee and just wait.
Yeah, Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman, and to a certain extent Shazam, all tanked because everyone was like, why should I care? Like there's no future in these movies.
Yeah, and Aquaman, I saw this report. I was gonna talk about it because I thought it was so stupid. WD reporting Aquaman 2 is our highest grossing film since 2018. You're like, how is that like a high five moment, dude? It's not been a very long time. Like, I don't.
Also, the weird thing is that they're talking that Gunn wants Momoa to be Lobo in the new DCU, right? Which would be a great casting choice, but the fact that he's coming off of Aquaman, it makes it very weird. It's very strange.
Yeah, so it crossed the $494 million threshold or whatever after all the international. So they're seeing it as successful.
It's too bad it cost $500 million with all the reshoots and stuff. Right, yeah.
If you add everything up, you guys are still shy about $20 million just to break even. I don't know. And I like the movie. I liked it more than most people liked it. But It's
I
not.
still haven't seen it. I'm waiting for it to be free on Max before I watch it.
Oh God, you really don't like it.
Well, it's not that I don't like it. I like the first one. I thought it was a fun movie. It's just that I don't want to pay for it to watch it because,
Right.
again, I hear it's like a 2 hour ad for climate change awareness,
It's not.
and
That's not
and
what it is.
also there's no future in it. It's like there's no reason to watch it.
That's the ticket right there. There's no. Sorry, hang on, Mike. There's no future. There's no future in that series. It's not a two. I kept hearing that it's 2 hour ad for climate change. It's really not. That's a small part of the story is how they release this chemical that's going to modify the climate or whatever. But you're being gaslit by the right a little bit when they say that. Really, the story is about a couple of brothers who are trying to save their kid, one brother's kid. That's really what it is. You break it down to like its base elements. It's two brothers who have always been at each other's throats, literally have tried to fight to the death, that basically team up to save the other brother's kid, and that's really what it is.
I remember, so like they had like Michael Keaton as Batman at a certain point. Then they brought in Ben Affleck to reshoot the Batman scenes, and then they just cut Batman out of it altogether.
Yeah, so what happened there was originally Aquaman, aka Jason Momoa, it was a similar story, but he was going to go to Bruce Wayne for help to get his kid back, and he was going to go to Michael Keaton. Then that entire thing got dropped. So then they did the shoots with Ben Affleck's Bruce, and it was apparently cool. He had like an underwater Batman suit, which is pretty rad.
Would have been funny if they had used the George Clooney Batman for Aquaman too.
All right. Yeah.
Because at the end of Flash, like that was the Bruce Wayne.
Oh, they should have shot something where he goes, like maybe he's looking for some key or something, and he goes to Bruce Wayne's house, and it's him, George Clooney, and he helps him, and don't even act like nothing is different. Like this is normal, completely normal.
Chris O'Donnell's just hanging out in the corner.
He's like, "What's up, fish guy?" No. So when they changed it, when they ripped all the Batman out of it, they really beefed up Orm's role. And I do believe, I'm sorry, I know everyone's gonna hate me for this. I think it made it a better movie. Like, as someone with brothers, and I both love them and hate them at the same time. Their chemistry worked for me. In fact, I would say the best part of the movie is their chemistry, them together as like brothers, not betraying each other. No underlying like plans of destruction or whatever. Just like them working together for like this pure goal of saving a child.
Were there any horror elements in the movie? Because I know James Wan is like, in the first movie he had that whole trench scene with like all the weird sea monsters and stuff like that. Was there any like horror elements to it?
Oh yeah. The Black Manta is basically being talked to by a demonic ghost. That's what pretty much sets him on his path. And then definitely. I don't want to spoil it from someone who hasn't seen it, but like, there's definitely horror elements for sure.
Okay, interesting. Because I know James Wan was very unhappy with the filming, the way that the filming for that movie went.
Yeah, because it was like so colorful. I think that they probably. I mean, I gotta be honest. Like this movie should have been rated R, and you can tell that it was cucked by its rating. Because there's things that they didn't show, that would have made it not a family film for sure, but it would have made it a good film. And I believe that because it lacked its teeth, it was sort of vanilla, and it didn't really accomplish being a family film or a good film.
That typically is par for the course for Snyder universe stuff.
Because I mean, like, if they were able, I'm not talking about cursing and sex. Like just pure violence. If they were actually able to show pure violence and loss, it might have been a good movie. But it did feel like it was sort of cut together in a weird way. Like the pacing was a little off. Like I said, the first act with him and Orm, is great. Like probably my favorite Momoa stuff. And then it gets lost a little bit, and you could tell a couple times where they just sort of exposition dump to try to get information out because they don't have time to go reshoot that stuff to explain that they're going into another act.
And I wonder how much of them cutting out as much of Amber Heard as possible affected the story.
Yeah, Amber Heard is barely in the movie. And when she is, don't hate me, but she's actually pretty good. And maybe it's because she's not talking very much. I don't know.
She's not a bad actress, and you know she's not hard on the eyes, but she's just such a horrible human being.
Yeah, she's a horrible human being. She's barely in the movie, and when she is, it's relevant, and she does a good job. You know, the movie there's a better edit out there that's longer, and there's a better version of this where it has a higher rating, and they're able to actually show more of that horror and that violence. All right, moving on. We talked about DC for a long time, my dude.
Could probably talk about it longer if we wanted to.
I certainly could. All right, guys, we are talking about Star Trek. Am I missing anything? Hold up 1 second. Frodo lives for $1.99. Thank you, Frodo. My dude just dropping a $1.99 sticker. I appreciate that.
It's a 199, Brian. Get it right.
Or a 199.
The 199.
The 199. Okay, we are going to talk about Star Trek. Star Trek Section 31. And I know this is...
Do we have to?
I was about to say, this is Matt's favorite topic. He really wants to talk about Star Trek.
I do like talking about both Star Trek and Star Wars. So I'm down for this.
I have no interest in talking about Star Wars, but yeah, so Star Trek Section 31 movie starring Michelle Yeoh, 7 added to cast. Yeah, so it is officially started. So everyone that was saying Section 31 is never going to happen, this is just an announcement to keep Michelle Yeoh on the books.
It's the movie no one wanted to happen, right? Like this is something where it's like it started off as a TV series, then when she won the Oscar, she was too expensive and her schedule clamped up, and so like they're like, oh, we'll just make it into a movie, even though nobody liked this character, nobody cared about Section 31 and her involvement in it. Nobody wants this. Nobody's interested in this. It's a spinoff of one of the worst Star Trek TV series ever. Yeah,
but to be fair, Michelle Yeoh does play the job of Giorgio very well. She's very good.
But you know what? So like originally, like she was like what, Captain so-and-so?
Captain Giorgio.
Captain Giorgio. And that character was actually kind of interesting because, she was the mentor character to Michael Burnham. And she was also kind of like the voice of sanity when Michael Burnham was just like, going off the rails. And then they killed her off. And they're like, oh, we probably shouldn't have killed her off. How can we bring her back? Oh, let's bring her back as like the mirror universe version. And people forget that her character is a genocidal racist maniac who eats Kelpians, which is actually something in her favor. But
wait. Yeah. Genocidal, racist, fascist dictator, about 10 times worse than any Hitler. Mass murderer, like millions murdered. And she literally eats the sentient people that bring her food, her slaves. She enslaves an entire race of people and casually eats them when she gets bored. Like, she's a fucking monster.
And she's the one who wanted to blow up the Klingon homeworld, with a bomb and stuff like that. And like, people forget that this is a horrible character. And the idea that this was the most powerful woman in the entire universe of her mirror universe, and now she's just like cool with like being like a spy and saving the planet from like clandestine threats. I'm like, where do people like, in what world does this make sense? She should be the big bad that like Starfleet has to team up. She should be the Thanos.
She should be the
Star Trek world,
right? She should be she should be like bringing her forces into our universe to take over another universe. Yeah, she should be like the worst of the worst. Now, you know what's crazy is, you're completely right on everything you just said, 100%. And I also find it ridiculous that this character went from that character into that. But I didn't like her in both or all three of those characters. While I hated Discovery, I liked I liked Michelle Yeoh.
I just remember Yum Yum. That's just
the Kelpian thing.
No. It's like she's fighting alongside one of the Discovery crew, the girl with like the weird mouth thing. That,
oh
like,
yeah.
And like she's like, "Do you have an appetite for violence?" And the girl's just like, "Yum yum." It's like it's one of the most cringy moments of Star Trek Discovery, and there are a lot of those. But like nothing about this character makes me want to watch like her own standalone adventure.
No.
I will say this though, that the guy who is behind the movie, who's writing and producing the movie, he basically was the showrunner and creator of Limitless, the TV show.
Oh, love that.
And so like he wrote the entire run of Limitless.
Really?
And yeah, and he's got a couple of other things under his belt which are pretty good. So like I'm fairly confident that the fact that he wrote this and he's producing it, and the director seems like a very typical like TV director, like he's just directed a lot of TV episodes.
Right.
But he directed a couple episodes of Discovery, which is how I think he got this job. I think that like the talent they got behind it is fairly good, but again, it's like a Rey Skywalker movie. Nobody asked for this. Nobody's super into this character.
Right.
You know, I just finished watching The Brother's Son on Netflix, which was Michelle Yeoh's other big Netflix TV series.
I didn't like it.
Oh, I thought it was great.
I didn't like it. I couldn't get into it.
But she was basically playing like a different version of Giorgio in that show.
Right.
Where she was like this very like brilliant, manipulative crime queen pin, essentially. And I feel like this is just going to be more of the same of that. Like, I don't like Michelle Yeoh playing bad parts. I feel like she's better when she's like almost like Everything Everywhere All at Once, where she's like, you know, she's someone who's trying to do good, you know?
Right.
So, but I can't believe you didn't like Brother's Son, man. That was such a good show.
Yeah, I mean, I only watched the first 2 episodes and I couldn't really get into it. Maybe I need to watch more. Maybe I need to force like this new binge culture that we're in, where it was like, well, the show doesn't get good until the 7th episode. You're like, what the F? I got to go that far in order to... So many people keep telling me like, hey, you got to check out Succession. It's really good. And I watched like 2 episodes and I'm like, I don't know what you're looking for.
I usually give a TV show 5 episodes before I decide.
Bro, that's like 5 hours. It's like 5 hours of your life.
It is, but typically, like, you know, like I'm not doing anything else in those 5 hours, so I might as well give a new TV show a try. But I thought that The Brother's Son, just from episode 1, was very engaging for me because the fight scenes were amazing. I liked the whole triad, like kind of like culture. Like there was like this mysterious organization which was trying to bring down the triad. And I was like, ooh, what are these guys? And the only thing I didn't really care for was the other brother, like the normal brother type guy. But he kind of grew on me over the course of the season. But it was great acting. It was awesome fight scenes. Like I really enjoyed it. The thing that I'm worried about with Star Trek though is they don't have good fight scenes.
No,
they this is going to be set in the fucking Discovery universe time era. I'm like, can she just go and eat all the Kelpians again to prevent them from having a temper tantrum that destroys space travel? I mean.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's I'm not really interested in this.
Well, last time we saw her, wasn't she at like what was that?
She was forced to go back to the Mirror Universe.
No, she wasn't forced to go back in the Mirror Universe. It was like what's that gate?
Yeah. Oh God, I had it in my head and now it's gone. Gateway of Forever or something, or Eternity.
Gateway of Forever. Yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah, but it was like a person. It wasn't like a gate. It was like a person. It was like a sentient thing.
Well, it was both. It was
right,
like
it was
the gate
both.
Projected a dude who represented its consciousness or something like that. And I don't think they sent her back to the Mirror Universe. I think that they actually sent her like back in time.
Guardian of Forever, and she was sent back in time to the Mirror Universe.
Are you sure?
Yes. I'm missing something? Almost positive the Guardian of Forever sent her because she walks in with like the evil Michael Burnham in her universe still alive.
Okay. I might have blocked that out because Discovery is such a shit
I don't even know. You know what? Someone in the chat does. If I remember correctly, they sent her both back in time and to the Mirror Universe because she was dying of like like she was like the way the mirror universe works, it's like a branch, and it starts to branch off as time goes on. So like it met here, and that's where she crossed over. And the farther away the branch gets, the sicker she gets. But that is stupid.
Well, also, you know what that means? It means that her story is going to be set in a timeline that has no effect on any of the other Star Trek that we're watching right now. So it's like, why are we even bothering watching this Elseworld, alternate universe story with Giorgio, who, if she goes back to the mirror universe, isn't she still Emperor? Like, why is she joining Section 31 in this other timeline?
Wait, so someone's saying they sent her back in time. So I guess at some point she went to the mirror universe, then they sent her back in time. So she went 1,000 years into the future, and I guess that was so far away from the branch time that was making her sick. So then they sent her back in time. We don't know when, but we're assuming. So back in time, that's it. We never saw. Okay, all right. So she's going back in time, of course, to like prequel before the original series. Yeah. She's gonna be
Enterprise era.
Yeah, she's gonna start Section 31. Discovery is once again inserting themselves into the origin story of set in stone things in the Star Trek universe via time travel, like with Michael Burnham all of a sudden being Spock's sister. And now they're gonna send Giorgio. She's gonna be the one who starts Section 31, and we're probably gonna see all kinds of callbacks to like DS9. Enterprise, all the time Section 31 showed up, she was probably the one involved.
And you know they're going to put the Borg in there somewhere.
Yeah. And she's going to have some reference. Oh, this looks like Control. We know how to deal with them. Oh, God. Oh, man, you're making me mad. You're making me mad right now.
It's Kurtzman Trek, man. Like the worst thing you can think of, that's what they're going to do.
That's crazy. You're totally right. They didn't show where she went. So they're just going to send her back to whenever they want, just to mess with us. Oh, so when they did that was basically a threat. They're like, buckle up, buckaroo. Oh yeah, they're gonna erase. Yeah, that's a race, Captain Kirk. Let's just fix all the things that we think is wrong with Star Trek with Emperor Giorgio, the mass murdering, Hitler-esque Kelpian eating monster. You know what? Makes complete sense. You know what? Let's give her blue hair and put a rainbow pin on her chest.
Now,
let's just make her like the proxy for the left, destroying anything in history that they didn't like. Let's just do that.
If Giorgio went back in time and ate the Kelpian who created the burn, I'd be down with that. Yeah, because she would have prevented that whole timeline from existing.
Wait, what if they use her to stop Discovery from happening?
Ooh, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine Alex Kurtzman just like, you know what? Failed experiment. Let's just erase it. Oh, dude. I would honestly, I'd be like, you know what, Alex? We're cool. We're cool now. No problem. You good. You good. He was responsible for Limitless. I love that show.
Yeah, I'd have her go back and erase the first 2 seasons of Picard. Wrong time to take a drink, Brian.
she's like doing the Deadpool thing where she's like going back through random times and just erasing really bad ideas.
Yep.
Like, nope, Picard, you are not going to be a robot. Kicked out of the machine. He just rips her out. Nope, you are not Data's sister. Go back to him. He's just killing everyone that makes no sense. Stopping him.
You are not going back in time to get arrested by ICE.
Nope. No, sir.
No.
Oh, man. So Section 31 is a pretty popular organization in Star Trek.
But they're supposed to be mysterious. That's what makes them popular.
Right. They're not supposed to have badges. They're supposed to look like any other Starfleet.
Yeah, you don't see their like meetings. It's not like what was it? Andor, the Star Trek show where you get to see like the Imperial Intelligence meetings where they're talking about stuff and conspiring and all that stuff. It's like occasionally an agent will show up. He's like super mysterious and he'll like be the puppet master behind the scenes.
Right. No, it's like that's what, and I love one thing I love about Enterprise is they showed the origins of Section 31 via like the Constitution or whatever of the Federation, and it was a really cool setup to it. But you're right; they're not supposed to actually. We're not supposed to know they're Section 31. They're supposed to, and just like in Enterprise, remember they were trying to recruit Malcolm Reed to be one of their members, not to wear a black badge and leave Enterprise, but to be part of the organization and give and feed them.
Same thing with Dr. Bashir, right?
Right.
In DS9, it's like they just come in. They're like the CIA, where like they just recruit assets to do their dirty work for them.
Right.
And they're just kind of like behind the scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah. What does the black badge look like? Someone wants to see it.
But this whole Section 31 TV show / movie idea was Kurtzman's baby. It was like his idea, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do this." And anything that comes from Kurtzman is instantly bad. You just know it is. So
yeah, here's the badge. This is from Trek Core. Here it is. So a lot of people keep saying they don't wear black badges. Like
it looks like one of those black and white cookies.
Yeah, they do. They wear black badges. For some reason, they're black and like silver. And this is an actual badge. I don't know. Some people keep saying that they don't wear black badges. They 100% do wear the black badges. Yeah, and I like the way it looks, but they're not supposed to.
You always want your covert agents to advertise who they're working for.
Right. Imagine you're working for the CIA and you're wearing a badge that says spy on it.
Well, it's like all the FBI agents out there.
Ambassador, would you like to see this paperwork?
Yeah. It's like all the FBI agents out there pretending to be white supremacists, wearing FBI jackets as they're doing it.
Right. Imagine, like they're trying to kidnap a governor. They're like, we're just good old boys. We're my good old boys. Like, hey, what's up with the FBI athletic grays there?
Why is your FBI badge on your swastika?
So they're wearing the FBI the lanyard thing with their badge. It has their. Yeah, it wouldn't work. Covert is covert. I don't know. Maybe they get it right. Maybe we're choking on our words.
I mean, honestly, Brian, I think that even if they do get it right, nobody's gonna freaking watch this. Like, if you look at the news, Paramount Plus just laid off like a bunch of people. It looks like they're trying to get sold off to some other company or investor, and people just are tired of Star Trek. Like, you have your hardcore Star Trek fan base, but for the normies out there, it's like they don't care anymore.
Right.
We got so much bad Star Trek in these past couple of years that it's just like nobody gives a crap about new Star Trek.
Yeah, I completely agree. I agree, and the biggest problem with it is that, and this is the biggest rub. This is the thing that bothers me the most, is that they know what they need to do to please almost everyone. Like, they know the path forward. Like, they do. I refuse to believe that they don't have access to the same exact analytics we do, or better, or probably much better. And they can see that how successful Picard Season 3 was, how successful Lower Decks is, how successful Prodigy was in comparison to just about everything else they've released. Just doing that basic math for just one day of research. I refuse to believe that they don't know exactly what they need to do to go forward. I think that they know, and they don't care. They want to manipulate, and they want to shape Star Trek into their image, even if it goes against what makes it successful.
They can't even get a Star Trek 4 off the ground.
That's a disaster too.
This whole bifurcation of Star Trek, where it's like you have a different company doing the movies than you have doing the TV shows. Like for a while there, Star Trek rights were split between Paramount and CBS, and all this nonsense. It's like, God, can an adult just come in the room and like fix things and tell people this is what we're doing now,
right?
And get rid of freaking Alex Kurtzman. We were having a conversation yesterday on the Salty Nerd podcast about Ghostbusters and why Ghostbusters seemed to be able to course correct after Ghostbusters 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that it was able to do that is because Amy Pascal, who was the head of Sony Pictures at the time, who was behind the whole gender swapped Ghostbusters idea with Kevin Feige or Paul Feig, she got kicked out. She got replaced by someone new, who then gave the Reitmans the ability to do the type of Ghostbusters that they wanted to do. And so, like, it all comes down to like fixing the leadership, right? If Star Trek sucks, it's because of Kurtzman. Get rid of Kurtzman. Put in Metalis.
Right.
If Star Wars sucks, get rid of Kennedy. Put in someone who doesn't suck.
Right.
You know,
put in someone that cares.
Yeah. It all starts at the top of getting rid of the person who's doing the shot calling and making all the bad decisions, or at least supporting all the bad decisions.
And that's a perfect segue, Matt. Thank you. It's almost like you produced a couple of YouTube shows. To our next topic, which is Ghostbusters Frozen Throne. We're going to be watching the trailer just dropped and reacting. And,
Frozen Kingdom.
I'm sorry, Frozen Throne. My God, Frozen Empire. It's Frozen Empire.
Frozen Empire.
My brain just got stuck
on
World of Warcraft. Yeah, it's called Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. The very first trailer we saw, to me, looked a little lackluster. It looked sort of generic, you know. And then I saw this one, and this felt so much like Ghostbusters. There's so much more to it.
It's back in New York. They're at the firehouse. They've got the original cast back. They even brought back Slimer.
They brought back Slimer.
We're gonna need all the.
So they
also brought back Dickless as mayor of New York.
Oh, they did. Okay, so we're gonna watch this trailer. We're gonna react, and then we're gonna get your reaction. So let's go. And this is gonna be a copyright claim. So that means that this will not be monetized. If you'd like to give us a super chat along the way, that'd be nice. Here we go.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
It's all dark and horny at 12 o'clock.
I've been waiting 40 years for this. They called themselves Ghostbusters. According to these hacks, they saved the world. No eyewitnesses.
So first off, I'm gonna pause it. I absolutely love the fact that they opened the trailer. Not the very first part of that trailer where they were showing like the beginning, a piece of the rest of the trailer. That's not the trailer itself. That's like the teaser for the trailer. But they opened the trailer with the original Ghostbusters footage.
Yeah,
like
where they actually show you like the origins and all the good stuff.
Right. That is showing you, at least in my opinion, I think it's showing you where their head's at. Like, this is a Ghostbusters film. We're not trying to change things. We're trying to add to it.
And who is found to
no
carry
Melissa
the
McCarthy, no Leslie Jones,
right?
No Kate McKinnon.
Descendants of Egon Spengler. You have a miner hanging
So
out
rad.
the side of a moving vehicle,
So rad.
firing a laser gun indiscriminately.
Has a proton pack.
It's completely safe.
I wouldn't say completely safe.
The Ghostbusters are finished.
Right. Well, overruled.
Sustained.
I laughed my butt off when he's like, well, yeah, overruled.
Overruled, yeah.
It's great.
Thank you.
You the weird guy who buys strange old things?
Correct on both counts.
Buddy, you just hit the jackpot.
What is it?
Better question is.
Hey, I'm forgetting his name right now, but that actor that was in Silicon Valley and The Eternals, I keep seeing him pop up and stuff. He was in Obi-Wan.
The Indian guy.
Yeah. He got cut for The Eternals, and then it failed miserably. I feel sort of bad for him a little bit.
Yeah, I think Vader said it best. He's like the most ripped Indian guy on the planet right now.
Dude, he's so ripped. He's jacked. Here we go.
What's inside of it?
The parables tell of an unimaginable evil commanding an army of ghosts. With the power to kill by fear itself.
Like literally scared to death?
We might be looking at a second ice age.
We're gonna need all.
And when I saw the first trailer, I was like, wait, are they doing like a climate change movie? Or I was worried about it.
I think it's kind of weird personally. Like I know that they're moving away from the whole the Gozerian thing. But the this new one, it's supposed to be like it's so scary that like it can like scare you to death,
Right.
And so like it just sucks all like the warmth out of like wherever these entities are or something like that. It's kind of weird. I'm looking forward to their explanation about it, but yeah, like the whole ice thing, like I'm not quite sold on it, but
well, Ghostbusters, they always push the envelope of like believability. They always push it just enough where you're like, oh, okay, I'll buy it. But like, I think that's that's what part of what makes a good Ghostbusters film is pushing that envelope far enough where it doesn't break, but enough for you to be thoroughly entertained.
Yeah.
Can I be of any help? Melnitz in uniform. Yes.
I like these throwbacks to the first one.
Yeah.
New York Library.
If there's something weird, who are people gonna call?
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
We're the Ghostbusters. Can
Oh,
I tell
this
you
is my
something
favorite
else?
part.
What? Buster makes me feel good. It makes me.
Plus, it makes me
I love that. I love that. But he's so shy about it. He's like, Bustin makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, I do. You know, so there's going to be like thousands of shirts available in the next week with that line on it. Just wait for it.
Me feel good.
I don't like that.
Patton Oswalt's in it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I feel like they just sort of randomly throw Patton Oswalt in franchises for like no reason. I don't. Anyone could play that job. Doesn't need to be Patton Oswalt. Sorry.
Heads up.
I do like that Bill Murray. Like, you know, he's sticking with his like I don't show up for hair and makeup stuff. It's like I'm going to show up. I'm going to say my lines. I'm going to leave. But like you know, it is good to see him back here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny that his entrance when he just sort of walks in. $10 says that was his actual entrance they filmed.
Yeah, yeah, he just showed up on set.
What's up, guys?
Yeah. Oh, Bill's here. Let's put a camera on him.
Get a camera on him. Yeah.
12 o'clock.
All dark and horny.
Yeah, I love that. I love they're making they're adding more tech, modern tech to their toolkit. That is a drone with the ecto thing on it.
Yeah. Now compare that to 2016, where Kate McKinnon came up with all these like ecto whips and like the two guns that she licks and stuff like that. It's like night and day difference between like.
Yeah, it doesn't make any her shit doesn't make any sense. It's not a proper continuance of what we love. It's like a bastardization of what we love. It's a big difference.
If you remember in the last movie, they put one of the traps on like a remote controlled toy car. Right. And so this is the next evolution where they have a drone and they turn like the trap into a drone that can fly and catch these ghosts in the air. So like, I'm like, that's cool.
That's cool. That. It makes sense. It makes sense from the 40 years or whatever ago to now that they're able to make these things more mobile in these different, and it's a proper evolution. It makes sense. I like it a lot. The second I saw it, I was like, yes, there's a drone.
Also, with New York traffic, you need something like that if you're going to continue to chase.
That's true.
Like ghosts and stuff like that. So,
it's very true.
I do like Walter Peck at the beginning where he's like, you have a miner hanging out the side of your car,
shooting a laser gun.
Yeah. It's good to see like characters like William Atherton return as like Walter Peck, but now he's the mayor and stuff like that, and see like the evolution of some of these other characters that are involved in this in the legacy of the show or this franchise, I should say.
What's great about this, bro, is like we're gonna be able to watch when this comes out. We're gonna be able to watch like Ghostbusters 1 all the way to this film, like seamlessly.
Well, as long as you don't put 2016 in there.
Right. Which, by the way,
leave that out.
Neither did they. Also left it out in Afterlife when they were showing all the different events, like ghost events, big ghost events. They conveniently there was no 2016.
Well, in 2016, the original Ghostbusters didn't exist. Like it wasn't a sequel to the Ghostbusters. It was a reboot. Which is why you had the original cast come in as cameos, because like in the 2016 version, the women were the original Ghostbusters. So it happens completely outside of Ghostbuster canon.
Okay. That's just no right then. That's fine with me. I didn't even know that. I guess I didn't pay close enough attention. So like they just came up with this Ghostbusting idea on their own?
Yeah, that was the whole point of the movie. Didn't you watch the movie? It's like none of the Ghostbusters existed, and these women came together to create Ghostbusters, and they became the first Ghostbusters. And that was one of the big problems that the fans had with the movie, is it completely ignored, the previous Ghostbusters movies, because it was meant to be a reboot as opposed to a sequel.
I guess I didn't. Yeah, I guess I didn't know that. I guess I didn't watch close enough.
You had Bill Murray show up as a different character who instantly gets killed. Winston is like Leslie Jones's uncle who runs like a limo service. Dan Aykroyd was a cab driver. I forget what Annie Potts was, but she was in there too as a completely different character.
Wow, that's a really bad idea.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
That's a terrible idea.
It's one of the reasons why they had to course correct, man, because they just pissed off the fans left and right. And then
I thought it was part of the franchise. That's weird.
No. And then 2016 started the trend of filmmakers and studios attacking the fans who didn't like what they were making.
Right.
But, yeah. This was pretty good.
I remember my buddy who is not really attached to any of the culture war stuff. He's like, oh, hey, I got this a Blu-ray you gotta check out. It's a 4K Blu-ray, and he hands it to me, and it's like the Ghostbusters 2016. And this is like a year afterwards. I'm like, oh, I gotta be honest, buddy. I have no interest in this whatsoever. And he's like, well, you gotta check it out. It's fun. It feels a lot like the original Ghostbusters. I'm like, and I entertained him. I'm like, okay, yeah, man, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I never watched it. In fact, I was so disinterested that I left the disc somewhere. First off, I don't really use discs, like ever. I use everything is digital. So I left it somewhere, and like a couple weeks later, he's like, "Hey, where's that disc?" I'm like, "Oh shit, I don't know." And I just lost his like special edition. I ended up having to give the guy like $60 to get another one. So it was especially disappointing. 2016 was especially disappointing to me. Oh, look who it is!
Oh my god, what's up?
What's up, man?
Hey, I feel weird. I'm putting his ears in my ears.
Oh, gross.
We're commingling earwax. It's nasty.
Oh, yeah. Mix it up. You got to mix it up together.
What's shaking, man?
Shaking bacon. We were just talking about Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I've been watching it. I'm like 2 feet from Matt over here, and I'm trying not to cough and laugh and interrupt the stream and stuff. But
cool.
Ghostbusters, cool. 2016.
Yep.
Terrible.
We wrapped it up. We're going to move on to our weekly weird here.
Okay.
Yeah. The whole Ghostbusters phenomenon is just. I'm really happy that it's back on track, because I'm going to be able to go and watch the entire franchise.
Yeah.
Skipping 2016, and enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I loved Afterlife.
One of those rainy Sunday afternoons where you can just like binge all 4 movies if you want.
Right.
That'd be super cool. Super fun.
And you know what? I think this is going to be successful. We'll probably get more. And I like the way that they're handing the torch off is really impressive.
Yeah.
Most franchises do not have the ability to properly pass the torch. It always feels forced. You never really like the next people that come in. People feel gypped.
Yeah.
This was like Afterlife was such a perfect transfer of that torch, and they're not just gone. Like they're gonna slowly phase out the older Ghostbusters and bring in the newer crew.
We talked about that yesterday. It's like the Ghostbusters people figured out that us fans will accept new stuff in the future going forward, as long as they pass the torch in a respectful manner. That's exactly what they're doing. I think it's a great idea, and as long as all the old original guys are on board, which it seems like they are, it's going to be a really cool cool, fun thing to see and watch. And then, you know, the next movie, if we get another movie, we'll just see the Paul Rudd Ghostbusters going forward. So
yeah, and I'm completely fine.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
If they don't you know, come in on movies coming forward, that's completely fine. If we you know, if it's even slower, like maybe we see Winston still sometimes, it's completely fine. Like they've passed the torch, and now my kids are gonna grow up, you know, watching this new Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
we're gonna be able to watch it together, and at some point in like 30 years, right, when their kids are 10 years old or whatever it is, they're gonna be having the same conversation about passing the torch again. I'm hoping that's the case. You know, hoping we get like, you know, 3 more movies over the next 20 years. Like, take it slow, do it right.
That'd be great. Can't wait.
Yeah, man.
You know, it's like Kathleen Kennedy's sitting over there going, "Man, that's what we should have done." But you know, she's not. She's not saying this. She's going, "Those people are stupid. Why are they doing that? Why are they bringing back the old people for? Nobody wants to see those old guys.
No one wants to watch the old.
Nobody wants to. No, nobody wants to see Bill Murray busting ghosts. No, come on. That's what everybody wants to see.
Yes." Everyone wants to see that. Now, I love seeing Paul Rudd too. I'm loving the new cast. Like I do. Sure. The girl, the main character, I'm forgetting her name right now, is perfect for the role. She's just like reeks of Egon. So great. And people I remember people saying, you know, fans are going to be upset when they see what they did with Egon in Afterlife. I wasn't upset. I wasn't upset. I was great. Yeah, I was ecstatic. I had a tear rolling down my face. It was awesome. I don't, you know, I really believe that these pundits and these Hollywood types, they just don't know what fans actually want. No. They just don't. Maybe they should ask a fan. Yeah. Right. Oh, you're gonna hate the way they brought him back. He's just CGI. No. Like, yeah, and well, yeah. How else are they gonna do it? Yeah. They just an actual seance. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. It's like. That moment when he wraps his arms around his granddaughter. Can you come back and play your character in the new Ghostbusters? Come on. Shake the table if you want to sign the contract. Oh, God. That moment when she was not able to hold on, and then like her grandfather is, or her father is holding it, you know. Yeah. It was so. Yeah, it's good stuff. So great. So great. Like I only cry at Star Trek movies, so I can't cry at that. But I would have cried if I was, you know, half a human. Not gonna lie, I had my eyes were watering. Right? I'm like, yes, right? I'm all into it. My wife looks at me, she's like, "What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "What is wrong with you? How are you not feeling anything right now?" She goes, I don't know. This is supposed to be a fun movie. I'm like, it is fun. I'm having fun. That's right. Now leave me alone. I gotta get myself together. Sad son of a bitch. Okay, moving on. Before we go to the member section, we got one more story where it's got to be called the Weekly Weird. I'm gonna pop this intro. You probably. I thought Matt. I didn't know he was gonna leave me here. I thought he was just gonna be gone like 2 minutes. But you know, whatever. Is he still around? He like opened the studio. He's hanging out back in the studio now. I don't know what he's doing. Oh. He had stuff he had to do. Here he is. He's back. Right. I'm gonna get his gross earwax out of my earwax, and I'm gonna give it back to him. Hold on. Okay. See you guys, everybody. Later, man. Wipe those off. Fucking Wax Brothers.
Gross Vader ears.
You guys are Wax Brothers now, bro.
I have clean ears. I don't know what he's on about.
All right.
They're all warm.
So we're going to the Wiki Weird, then we're going to the member section. Here we go.
Get ready, you fucking weirdos.
Okay, we are talking about something called the Betts Mystery Sphere. Some people call it an alien orb. It has interesting properties, almost atomic properties. Apparently, when they registered its atomic number, it was in the 140s, which is otherworldly. The highest we've ever been able to get synthetically get an element to get to atomic number 2 was like 117, and so it's pretty crazy. So basically, I'm gonna give you a quick story, then I'm gonna tell you what the news about it. This ball, this mysterious metallic sphere, it's actually stainless steel, at least on the outside, was found outside of a Florida home in the 70s, 1974. It was found by Terry Betts and his wife. Now, this ball, these people are not fame seekers. You know, they're pretty educated folks. They had plenty of money. They found this ball. They immediately went to the press because the ball started doing some weird stuff. It was after a fire, and the fire had exposed the actual ball, you know, this giant metallic sphere. They would put it on a table, and it would find the center of the table and stay there. They would try to roll it off. It would roll to the edge, and then eventually circle and find its way back to the table. They would tip the table to get it to come off the table, and it would travel up the table to stay in its position, like almost like a gyroscope. Crazy stuff. They'd put it on the ground and they'd roll it. It would roll about 4 feet, stop, turn on its own, roll another 4 feet, turn on its own, roll another 4 feet, make a perfect square, and come back to the original roller. This thing was magnetic. It would pick up paper clips and can tops and anything metal shavings. When they left it outside by accident, they brought it back in, and it was even more magnetic, almost like it was powered by the sun in some way. Very interesting. They did have someone come out from a local paper. The guy that came out was a huge skeptic. He even told them immediately, like, I don't believe you guys, so you have a lot to prove here. They said, sure. They showed him the ball. He spent the entire day with them, came back and said, this is crazy. He basically signed off on it. They wrote the story. It became national news. People were hounding these people for months. Finally, the military got involved. The military wanted to look at the ball. And here's what's interesting. The military determined that it had the radioactive property of 140 something. They determined that it wasn't exploded ordnance. They ended up giving the ball back. They couldn't get inside the ball. The x-rays couldn't find anything inside the ball. It was completely impenetrable. Long story short, another scientist who was attached to a bunch of UFO stuff in the government, and I'm doing short as possible, basically showed up to examine the ball, and when he left, the ball stopped emitting all the interesting and fantastical properties and movements that it had before. And a lot of people think that what happened was this guy was alone with the ball, and he swapped it out for a regular stainless steel ball and took the original one, and we have not seen the original one since. That's the story. Now, here's the update. Alien orb inside the eerie UFO riddle of the Bent's Mystery Sphere, a 22-pound metallic ball found in a garden that behaved by itself. The interesting story is, after becoming a worldwide phenomenon for the ball's apparent shocking ability to hum along to music, roll along on its own, blah, 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 Ron Kivett, the host of a local radio show on paranormal phenomena, was one of the first to go and see the sphere come to life and told his fans on air his wacky theory. Ron was convinced that the orb couldn't possibly be from Earth and dubbed it a device created by some cosmic intelligence for an opaque purpose. So then we told you, you know, the local paper picked it up, yada. Here's what happened. According to the reports at the time, the Betts family was wandering. I'm sorry, I'm wrong space. I'm gonna get to the update here. Yeah. Where's the update? Oh, hold up. Sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Sorry. Have you heard of this yet, bro? Have you heard of this sphere?
When you sent me the link to the Sun article, that was the first time I've ever heard of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So here's the newest update on this. I can't find the article, so I'm just going to tell you what it was. I had both articles. I sent you the wrong one. I think I got distracted when I sent it to you. But in 2012, an award-winning podcast famed for solving mysteries analyzed the story of the ball.
That's actually in the article that you sent me.
It is?
Yeah, it's right above the subtitle, "The Bet's Mystery Sphere."
Oh, I just got lost.
Yeah. So basically, there was this award-winning podcast about skepticism that did its own research into the sphere, and they found that it was most likely just a ball check valve produced by the Bell and Howell company, and found that it matched up to the ones at the time in its size, weight, and composition. The podcast also concluded that despite the tails of the ball moving on its own, it never really did. And so basically they said that all the fantastical tales were secondhand stuff from people who were talking about it. And then all the people who actually did research on it, they're like, it's just a ball. So.
Right. Although I find it funny that the atomic number was so high when the military tested it. And one of the theories behind that is that they're on a military base with nuclear material in the testing lab, and that the scientists straight up just made a mistake. Yeah. They just made a mistake, and that's why it was it had radiation coming off of it.
Yeah, I mean, there were stories about this ball basically like being able to reverberate on pitches that would like harm dogs' ears, like, make dogs run away from them, where it would like basically harmonize with music that was playing nearby. All types of like really weird, kind of like bizarre stuff that basically nobody who actually tested the ball was able to reproduce. And of course, people are like, well, that's because the ball intentionally shut down because it knew it was being tested. And then like when, the scientists are away, it behaves like it normally does.
Right.
So it's kind of like a fun, like, I don't buy it. I think that Skeptoid is probably right. It's probably just like a ball that was, like a stainless steel ball that was abandoned somehow, and people found it and started, because the Betts family, they didn't originally like go out and say like, oh, the ball can do this and this and this and that. It was just kind of like something they would pull out at parties and do tricks with. And then it got to like, the newspaper guy, and he kind of blew it out of proportion.
Everything Matt says is completely right. The crazy thing about this is, in my opinion, is like, especially in the, before the internet, now it travels so quickly that it happens in real time. But
there'd be TikToks about it.
The act of telephone was a big deal. Like the telephone effect, where someone would tell someone and someone would enhance that story and tell the next person. And before there was a way to really fact check that, or even make a phone call sometimes, crazy theories would go out of control, especially when they became national news. There was another story about this random hole, like in the middle of like Iowa or something, that the neighbor thought was weird because his dog would get mad, would go crazy when he came next to it. And that went into this whole conspiracy theory where it was like the military was testing this giant pit that went down to hell. And you're like, well, how did we go from this to this? But it's a progression. It's a slow progression until you get to this crazy theory where it ends up on Coast to Coast. And once it's on Coast to Coast, it's over. Like, that's permanent. It's in the zeitgeist.
Well, nowadays you'd have someone posting it on TikTok, doing all this weird stuff, and then everybody like, oh, that's just CGI. It's just computer generated.
Right. Which, we talked about that with some of the alien stuff. Like there's a clip coming out later on this week where we talked about the jellyfish UFO. And after doing more research, I got a lot more footage of that, and I dropped it in the clip. Well, the jellyfish UFO is fascinating. Very cool stuff. But there might be a simple explanation for it. And I include that in the clip. So our clips that we're putting out now, where I'm actually trying to expand on them and add more context to what we're talking about, because it's not live. And it just goes to show that almost anything, all these supernatural things we see, even when you look at it and you're like, what can that be? Like the footage I showed last week, where my footage, I sat there, I saw it with my own two eyes. I'm recording the clouds, and like there's dancing lights at like 4 a.m. Where is this coming from? Right? Well, I went at 4 a.m. back to that spot, saw the same dancing lights, right? I'm recording it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to drive down this road until I get closer to it. the closer I drove, the more and more I realized that it wasn't dancing lights. And I will tell you what it was on this clip tomorrow, but I don't want to kill the lead. But there is definitely an explanation to it. So I love supernatural stuff, but the craziest stuff you can find often has a pretty generic answer. The other day I saw a really great, it was like an alien. It looked like an alien, taken from footage from outside of a gas station, walking along, and it was all reflective and weird looking. And some people see it and they start chasing after it with their phones. So we got camera footage of this blue alien, and the blue alien is like running away from them.
And is that the thing in Miami at the shopping mall?
No. I have an explanation for that too. No, this one was like in Mexico. Well, it's funny. You get good footage, and you can actually see it's a Mylar balloon that of Bugs Bunny, where the air had to go out of it, so it flipped over, and now it looks like it's an orb with legs, and the wind is carrying it, and it's Mylar, so it's reflecting off the lights on the phone. And it's just, the wind is pushing it. It's crazy. And the one in Florida, once you zoomed in, if you got the right angle and zoomed in, it's just 3 people walking alongside of each other, but because the weird contrast and the angle is weird, it looks like one giant person. It's not. It was the digital zoom effect. When they were zooming in, that digital zoom, it tries to add pixels to make what you're seeing make more sense. And it combined the people into one object. But when he zoomed out, you can see that it was 3 people. They didn't show that part on TikTok, though. Coincidentally.
No.
Coincidentally. So, hey, I love all this stuff. This was a quick thing for Weekly Weird. I suggest you go read up on it. The story is incredible. Ultimately, it comes down, and go check out these guys. It's called Skeptoid. Skeptoid.com. Really cool podcast. Go check them out. And I suggest it's a good read. It's a good listen. And that's it. We're going to the members section. So if you wonderful folks want to come with us, it's pretty simple. We're going to switch it over to members. And when we do, the regular chat will not be available to you. We're actually working on a way to properly make this a member stream. But if you like a member, it's really simple. Click on the join button below and join the channel. We're doing a lot more stuff. We got a big Stargate Timekeepers playthrough coming through. And before I can make it live, it's going to be members because I have to send it to them to make sure I don't get copyright claimed. So when I do that big playthrough, I'm going to do it live for members only. So a lot of fun stuff coming up for members. So I hope you can join us. Click that join button and come on over. We're going to be there for another half an hour. And that's it. You got anything else you want to add, Matt?
No, be sure to check us out on Saturday when we do our Salty Saturday stream.
Yep.
Me, Brian, Vader, and a few other guests. In fact, we're having Mexican Iron Man and Paulie from Latino Slant in studio this Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Because they're going to be here in Vegas. And so we're going to have a jam-packed Salty Saturday thing. Just go to saltynerdlive.com to see when that's going to be. But Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And you can always find out what's going on live on saltynerdlive.com.
Okay, you guys heard it. And yeah, that should be a fun Saturday. Okay, guys, we'll if you're not coming to the member section, that's cool. We'll see you on Friday for our show at 10 a.m. and on Saturday for Matt's show.
Tacos.
Bader says he's bringing tacos.
All right, Bader's bringing tacos. Okay, guys, we'll see you in the member section.
Yeah, for the Latinos.
Nothing is impossible. Just do it. Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it.
And we're back.
We're back.
All right, we should all be plugged into the members section. Let me get that chat up. And this is pretty casual over here. We just hang out for a couple minutes. We talk to the chat and talk about what they want to talk about and just sort of shoot the shit, bro. Totally uncensored because we are in the members section. Do whatever we want. Did you see my furry video I put up? The clip I put up?
I saw it in my feed, but I haven't watched it.
You're missing out, guys. You're missing out. All right. You need you guys need to see this. This video.
To me, I'm kind of pissed off about it.
Vader says he's pissed off about this video.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What are you saying, Vader? Vader,
furries.
what are you saying?
He said I inspired this somehow. I don't even know why.
Brian, did Vader inspire this video?
Yes,
somehow?
he did.
How did he do that?
Because we were on a show like 5 Saturdays ago when he was talking about kids taking a shit in a litter box at schools or whatever. And I went and looked it up, and that's how I got to this story because of Vader. Vader got me to this story. Congratulations, Vader.
I'm surprised it's not a story about feet.
No, you're missing out if you haven't seen this. It's really quite funny. Apparently, a bill is being passed that makes it possible for kids dressed up as furries in school to be captured by animal control and detained. Which I find just so absurd.
Well, it's one of those things where, like, because they identify as an animal, they can't just arrest them. They have to be dealt with by animal control. Is that right? Something
along those lines. Food furry.
So it's more promoting mental illness type stuff.
Yeah, a lot of mental illness promotion there. Let me get the chat up real quick. It was really fun edit too, because I got to go look at like a bunch of furries.
Do you remember when Twitch authorized like the artistic nudity stuff?
Yes,
and it was just like an explosion of furry porn.
Yeah, just
like furry
porn everywhere.
Yeah. Like within like 48 hours, it was just Twitch was flooded with furry porn.
Yeah. It was there within 24 hours. Nothing but furry dicks everywhere.
And they're like, what? It's artistic. It's artistic nudity.
Technically, I guess technically that's the case. They go, it's not sexual. But then you just Google furry.
Huge erect animals.
Just giant, huge erect dog penises everywhere. You're like
the size of tree trunks.
Right. And you're like, look, I get that some of you are like, this isn't sexual, but a large majority of you, it's sexual. And I put a clip in there of that in that clip I shared. There's a video of 2 furries just going at it, and they're like having a casual conversation. I had to put a censor box. Like, hey, you hear that Alex Jones thing? He said the frogs are gay, and they're just like, like what?
I'm not saying it's sexual, but it's sexual.
Definitely sexual. 100%.
Definitely sexual. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not kink shaming, if you guys like that, it's fine, but like let's not lie about it. Okay, guys, we got some good chats. Disney took down the UFO investigating the unknown. Really? Took down UFO investigating the unknown. Oh, why would they do that? They probably sold it to Discovery.
Getting too close to the truth.
No, they probably sold it. The content is going all is all over the place because these services are trying to maximize their profits, right?
Yeah.
And the way they do it is like, our fans are done with this, so let's give it to Max now. And you're like, I don't know, it's sort of incestuous, to be honest.
Did you hear about that whole thing that Shatner came out about on Twitter, where they're trying to replace, that iconic Star Trek line, "To boldly go where no man has gone before"?
Yeah, didn't they already do that though? Like in TNG?
I think it's in response to like some type of like actual bill that's being passed, where it's like it's going to be illegal to use gender specific language like that. and he's basically like, "This is stupid."
It is, because it is stupid. It's really dumb. Yeah, the whole point of that was like it wasn't specifying only men.
Well, you know, when you say man, it's basically like
mankind.
Yeah, it's short form for mankind, and it's been used like that in the classical literature sense for like, you know, hundreds of years.
Yeah, that's really ridiculous.
And man is just human. You know, it's like it's a short form of human.
Yeah, you know, I don't know when this is going to stop, or if it's ever going to stop. I know culture changes over time. It's entirely possible that we're just sort of in the middle of that next growth pain, and then we're going to level out for a little while, and then, you know, our kids will be in another growth pain where it gets more and more ridiculous. And if that's the case, then it's going to continually get more and more ridiculous until we're taken over by someone with bigger balls, I'm assuming.
I mean, like, we've already been taken over, and I think a lot of this ridiculous stuff is basically being promoted and financed by China to undermine our society, make us easier to conquer, essentially.
That makes sense. Like, imagine, so they've already, they bought up like 22% of American real estate. So like,
well, it's not even that. It's just like they promote these people who have these crazy ideas, and then they get these politicians in there to codify these crazy ideas, and basically just put our society into complete chaos and decline, so that eventually they can just come in and conquer us.
Yeah. Oh, and remember, they also said no more video gaming for our only an hour of gaming a week or whatever, because making our men soft.
well, I think that's the law in China. Is what they did over in China, not America. America, we're still free, but
no, in China, it's like they're making they want their boys to be bloodthirsty.
But I mean, like, look at the damage it's done to the military, right? Recruitment is at an all-time low because all these like manly, like, you know, dude bros who are all about, you know, like, let's go defend the country and kill the bad guys. And all that stuff.
Yeah.
They don't want to be in the military because the military is catering to crazy people.
Well, we saw that ad last week on the show. I'm sorry, it's last Monday. The Emma ad for the military, where it's like I'm a regular girl with two moms, and one of my moms got sick, and this whole like I was already an activist, and it shows her like with like the gay pride parade with the activist flag and all that, and she's basically the daughter of two moms, who's an activist, a liberal, and she fights for what's right. So why not fight with the Air Force? And like, what? And it's like in the cartoon form, and it makes no sense. It's like, and it's like 3 minutes long. Like, it's too long for an ad, guys. Come on.
I mean, if you want me to put on my tinfoil hat for a second,
do it.
This is just hypothetical, right?
Do it.
So a foreign nation creates a very contagious virus that they leak out into the world on an election year to get rid of the guy who's been basically putting them in their place for 3 years, and put in another dude who basically puts in all their PSYOP stuff, codifies it into law and policy, and then gets us involved in 3 wars across the world that we can't recruit people into the military enough to actually like fight. And it gets it to the point where basically like we spread ourselves too thin, and we are plunged into chaos and possibly even civil war. And then once the dust settles, this other country that released the contagious virus in the first place comes waltzing in and just basically takes us over because we're too busy dealing with nonsense and idiots who are bought and paid for and in the pockets of this dark money from this nation that wants to destroy us.
Yeah, I think there's one step you're missing. They need to remove civilians' use of firearms.
Well, that's the one thing that they haven't been able to do yet. But if you look at you know that movie about the Civil War where Texas and California team up against the government?
Yeah, it's coming out now.
And the funny thing about that is that in California, like, you have very strict gun control.
Right.
right? Like it's very hard to own a gun in California. Texas, it's very easy to own a gun. And if you go back in time to like, you know, like pre-World War II and stuff like that, countries were afraid to invade America because they were like, guns are as prevalent as blades of grass in that country. And it's like, you know, anyone can just take up a gun and defend themselves in America. And so if there's an invading army, they're facing overwhelming odds. And throughout,
right. What do they say? World War II in America, there's a rifle behind every blade of grass.
Yeah, something like that. But you know, if you look at these anti-gun policies that have been pushed out there, in the places where it's hardest to actually legally own and use a gun is the most gun violence, because what happens is criminals get these guns. And I've watched documentaries about, like, you know, how illegal firearms are made and smuggled into the country and sold on the black market and used. And basically any gun control law, all it does is it takes guns away from law-abiding citizens who would use them responsibly.
Yeah, make a law.
Gives the criminals carte blanche to basically, you know, terrorize the law-abiding citizens by use of force with guns.
And you would think that there would be pretty common sense. Hey guys, let's make laws that make it illegal to own a firearm. Well, what about the criminals that are already not obeying the laws that are in place right now?
Yeah. It was funny. I was actually, I was on a panel on One News Network, which is kind of like a conservative leaning like news station. Mm-hmm. And at the time, my publicist, I was doing a book tour, and my publicist got me on the show. And I was in the green room with this like San Francisco lawyer or San Diego lawyer who basically he was, you know, another expert on the panel. And he actually, it's funny because I did some research into him afterwards, and he has like these weird ties to like the cartels, where he was like a cartel lawyer or something like that. But, you know, very liberal guy. And when we were in the green room hanging out, we were just kind of chit-chatting. And he was talking about how, like, you know, like we just need more gun control to stop, like, you know, school violence or whatever. And I said, well, how do you explain the fact that Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the country and also the most gun violence? And he's like, I don't have a response for that. I was like, okay.
Because criminals don't obey laws.
Yeah, that's right.
That's sort of like the definition of a criminal.
Right? Yeah. And you know what's funny is, like, you see these videos on Twix every day of like London police, and you're not allowed to carry a gun even as a police officer in the UK. Right. And like they're just getting beat the shit out of by, you know, criminals because like they don't have the weapons to actually like deter them or take them down. It is maddening.
Yeah, because they just got like a billy club.
Like, they got like a billy club. They might have like a taser if they're lucky,
right,
or something like that. But it's funny because like you'll see these videos of like one guy and there's like 20 police officers around him, and he's got like a batter machete, and they're all just like, they all try to come in to arrest him, and he's like swings it, and they all go, oh, and they like back up. And
it's like a Benny Hill commercial.
Yeah. It takes them like half a day to subdue a suspect. You know, oh, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, here's the American version of that. Pop.
Yep.
Oh, it's over. Oh, it's problem solved. Yeah, we were watching that that video on Monday. It was so upsetting. It was on Instagram, and basically it showed the body cam footage of a cop. The cop pulls up, and there's like this 15 or 16-year-old girl on the ground in broad daylight being raped by a thug, just like it was a real big, gnarly looking thug at knife point. In broad daylight, people everywhere just watching this happen. And this cop, bless their heart, this cop walks up, yells something, and then just goes, pop, 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 and just the entire clip into this guy. Just the entire clip. And he goes like this. And at some point he's like pop, 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 pop. And then he goes to pull the mag out to put another mag in, realizes there's still one in the chamber, and then pops him again. Like, that was the best part, was that realization that there's still something in the chamber. And so he just finishes. I mean, the comments were ridiculous. It was like, this is police violence. this is an excess of power. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Well, I mean, the best comment I saw was, this guy should be fired. And then he followed up, and hired as police chief. No, I mean, it's like we're in a world though, like where a wide swath of people were defending the violent rapist over the cop that, in my opinion, acted accordingly. That's exactly what I would have done. Like, and if you give him time, he might kill that teenager, right? So you have to take him out of the equation before he has a chance to slit that kid's throat. I don't know.
Well, I mean, what's crazy is nowadays, under the current political climate, like, you can get thrown in jail for defending yourself and other people, and then the criminals get a pass. Like, you know, they might get a slap on the wrist, or they might even get defended, or you know, in the case of like the riots of 2020, like, you had our vice president bailing out people who burned down half of cities. Right. Like it's absolutely crazy. And I do think that, like, you know, there is, you know, if I put my tinfoil hat on again,
put it back on.
There's this huge country out there that wants to destroy us, and they're financing all these politicians who are leading the charge on gun control because they don't want people to be able to defend themselves. They're leading the charge on criminal justice reform, which basically means the criminals get let out onto the street and they're not prosecuted, and the law-abiding citizens who are the victims are the ones who get prosecuted.
Right.
You know, I mean, just look at so all these Soros-funded DAs who basically pass laws where they're not pass laws, but they basically set the precedent for not prosecuting people who shoplift anything under $1,000. And that just makes everyone go in and shoplift stuff like $900 worth of stuff.
Right.
And then you see,
and they blatantly walk in, like they walk in blatantly with their with their regular COVID face mask on, and they just like take stuff and just walk out.
And you see like all the Walgreens and CVS pharmacies and stuff like that shutting down because it's not profitable for them because they're dealing with too much theft. Like, if you, like, I know you live in California, but you live kind of like below LA. Last time I was in LA, you go into a CVS or a Walgreens, it's like walking into a freaking vault.
Yes.
Everything is locked down.
Everything is behind glass. Every single thing.
Yeah.
It's like guys, the beef jerky is locked up.
Yeah. Like, everything is behind these like locked glass shelves, and you can't just go in there, pick up something, go pay for it, and leave like you can here in Vegas. You actually have to get someone, like, you have to ring a bell. Someone has to come. It's like, what do you want? And then they like unlock the door, open it up, and then they give it to you. And you have to do that for every single thing you want. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's insane.
And that's the only way that they can prevent shoplifting, because basically they've legalized criminality in California with these insane like policies of not wanting to prosecute people for a certain amount. Like, if you break the law, you need to be prosecuted. But under the Biden administration, it's like, no, we don't want to prosecute anyone, no matter how many laws they break, unless you're a citizen who is trying to, you know, defend them. Like, you hear stories every day of like someone who, you know, they're being attacked at work, and somebody steps in to, like, you know, help the person out, and then that person who helped out got fired.
Right.
You know, like it's,
they get fired. Yeah, and they get, you know, they file charges for assault, and you're like, what are you talking about? Like, I only came into this because this person was out of control. I read about something that happened in LA, of all places, where a street vendor was being like some street guy selling tacos basically, and a couple guys came up and they totally started like pushing this guy around, taking his stuff, loading it in their back of their little CV, you know, little Honda, whatever. And a couple of the guy's friends come up and try and stop these guys, and they're holding them there, and they call the cops. Well, the cops come, and the guys that they're holding for the cops they're not holding them because they want them to get arrested. It's because they're trying to take all their things, right? They're trying to steal from their friend's cart. Well, the guys that were holding them got arrested because they were holding these guys against their will. Basically, it was like this law. So they get arrested, and when they get out, then the guy's entire cart is gone. Like, the guys were left there that were trying to steal this guy's business. And because the cops arrested the people that were trying to stop them, those guys literally picked his entire thing clean. Like, nothing but struts, wheels, everything gone. The guy lost everything that he had built over the last 5 years. I couldn't even imagine, dude. So wild place we're living in.
Well, I mean, like it's even worse when you think about the lockdowns. It's like, what, 30% of restaurants in California shut down for good because of those stupid lockdown policies, which it's coming out now, weren't even effective.
They weren't effective, yeah.
They were just stuff to keep people from panicking or to, like, you know, keep people inside and isolated and stuff like that. And like everything that like people like you and me and like-minded people were talking about back then that was being squashed and censored and unallowed was true. It was 100% true. And people, you know, so many people have short memories where they forget, like, this was just a couple of years ago where basically they came out and they would ruin your life if you didn't have your vaccine and your passport. And now we know that the vaccines were ineffective in preventing the spread. If you didn't mask up, you were accused of trying to murder grandma.
Right.
And it came out masks weren't effective. They were just something to basically placate the masses. The 6 foot social distancing thing, complete BS. Like, they came out now and it's like, yeah, we just made that up because it sounded good.
Yeah.
Like every single thing that happened during COVID, completely has been proven to be false.
Right.
And people's livelihoods have been ruined by these policies.
Yep.
And yet they still continue to try to push them.
And not just the businesses and livelihoods, but like our economy. You cannot print trillions and trillions of dollars with nothing to back it up and give it to all your friends and not expect us right now and our kids to suffer from those decisions. Our reaction to COVID was so incorrect. I would say it was criminal because it's not going to hurt these people at the top and politicians. It's going to hurt us. It hurt us then, and it's going to hurt us for years. For years. This is not like, oh, it's over. It ain't over. We still have to deal with the aftermath, the reaction to that stupid action. And you print that much money, and you take that many people out of work, and you ruin the job market for that long. Now we're dealing with what? UPS is now like, oh, they had to redo their contract, and they're giving their drivers all this money. 3 months later, 140,000 people being laid off.
Well, also look at the airline industry, right? Like all these pilots quit because they didn't want to be forced to do vaccines.
And nurses and doctors, same thing.
But you go to an airport nowadays, and it's like, how many flights are canceled or delayed or late? And it's because most of the qualified pilots who did this stuff quit because of these stupid policies.
So we got rid of a lot of qualifying people. I used to go to my daughter has a lot going on. She has half a heart basically, and it's called HRHS. So she has to go. We have to go to the doctors often just to make sure everything's cool, right? Because you got like mechanical parts in there. And before COVID, I trusted her doctor's office. I trusted her doctor. I still do. He's still a good guy. But I appreciate the nurses. I appreciated people. I didn't trust everyone. I was watchful of my kid because a lot of them made mistakes even before COVID. But now, during COVID and after COVID, the incompetency of these people is staggering. Yep. We're talking about they don't write down your appointment. They'll set an appointment with you, but they forget to write it down somehow. They're rude. They'll call you to get you to pay a bill that's not even your bill. Like they literally just had the wrong name. It takes hours. Like before I went, let's say our appointment was at noon. I went at noon. At 12:15, I was seeing my kid was seeing her doctor. Now I make an appointment, and at 1:15, I'm lucky if I'm still seeing my doctor. It's incredible how horrible everyone's gotten. That's because all the best nurses and doctors that didn't want to get the jab, they were like, you know what? We're just going to go do private practice or retire. And a lot of them did. And I'm so glad that my kid's cardiologist didn't. But to be fair, the guy's getting old too, which makes me worried. Like, she's going to outlive him. So I'm looking at all these industries that have been affected permanently by their incompetent lies. Like them just lying to the American public to make it appear as if they're doing something that's valuable, stirring everything up so that they can win elections, stirring everything up so they can pad their pockets with money. They printed money, and 96.5% of that money didn't go to COVID. The COVID relief bill, only a tiny percentage of the COVID relief bill went to COVID stuff. So what's the outcome? Well, the outcome is we have to course correct somehow. That course correcting a ship this big is going to take a decade plus.
If we get the right people in office. If we get the right people. Actually do the court, you look at the stuff that's happening with the Ukraine and all the billions of dollars that are being sent over there. Guess what? Most of that stuff is being laundered so that it can finance the campaigns of the people who approved that money in the first place.
Bingo! Because they're buying, they give them money and they buy it from BlackRock, and BlackRock gives it back to the politician. Boom.
Yeah, or like
Vanguard, whatever.
They send money to the Ukraine, and then the Ukraine buys weapons from the U.S., which then gets filtered back into the pockets of the politicians who sent the money in the first place. Like it's so incestuous and it's so nefarious, right? Because it's the uniparty that's in power that's doing all this stuff, and it's meant to keep them in power. And they are so scared of people that they can't buy off or bribe or blackmail of getting those people into office. Like that whole thing. I don't know if you saw the Kerry Lake thing, where basically the head of the Republican Party in Arizona, basically on behalf of East Coast rich elites,
right,
tried to get her
basically the mob, right?
I'm thinking more like Wall Street or like whatever, but they tried to get her to sit out for 2 years, before she does like a run, and she's like, these people hate our country. I'm not going to do this, and I feel like that's like you have these like rich, powerful elites who want to protect their interests by having the right type of politician in there. And it just so happens to be politicians who care about money and power more than they care about the country and the people that they're elected to serve. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's so nefarious and so cruddy. And I mean, just the type of lawfare that's going on right now. And it's not just about, Trump's 9 indictments or whatever the case may be there.
17 indictments. Yeah.
Like if you look at any lawsuit that Elon Musk is involved with, the activist judges are ruling against him because they don't like the fact that he's promoting free speech on Twitter. Like the minute he stepped outside of the liberal line and actually started doing stuff that could help society is the minute that they start targeting him. And so he's facing the same issues as Trump is to a certain extent, because Biden has targeted him and his companies for retribution. It's so cruddy, and the media isn't doing anything about it.
People keep saying that, oh no, there's no uniparty. There is a uniparty. These people, even people that aren't, let's say one is not as corrupt as the other, but ultimately they all want to keep their jobs and keep getting paid off the American public, keep getting their lobbyist money. And the way they do that is they stay in power, and they can't stay in power if they go against the establishment. So ultimately, it all becomes uniparty.
You can't tell me that Mitt Romney and Lindsey Graham are Republicans.
They're not Republicans. No.
They're part of the uniparty. It's like they may have an R next to their name, but they vote in lockstep with all the other Democrats out there. And most of these people who have been in politics for like their entire lives, essentially their entire careers, they're all friends.
Right.
They all know the same people. They all do the same type of deals with each other. Like they call it compromise, but it's really not compromise. It's just like they're all in league with one another. They all want the same thing, essentially. Right. There might be minor differences, but for the most part, they're all in lockstep with disastrous policies that only benefit them.
And people go, well, I mean, they have to work together. Nothing will get done. I'm like, so they just work together to benefit themselves and not the American public. Like, you look at some of these bills where they have earmarks where they push something in there that was too small to get seen. Well, you'll see one thing pushed in there that is stupid and only benefits this particular party. But then you'll see another thing 5 pages later that only benefits the other party. They both agreed to steal. Basically, you know what they agree on? They agree to steal from the American public and to keep power, as long as it takes. In order to do that, they have to give us the illusion that there is a left versus right, that there is a Republican versus Democrat. You need that house. You cannot remove one or it'll fall over. You need both those sides in equal and opposite, pushing against each other in order for that house to stand so they can keep getting paid and stay in power. The left versus right thing is an illusion. There are people that fully believe that because they've been brainwashed to the point where they can't even see real facts anymore. All they can see is the lies and the headlines that they constantly eat up like weird gremlins after midnight. But the real problem is not their neighbor that hangs an American flag. The real problem is the people that have been sucking their blood for the last 50 years without breathing. They're monsters. They run the swamp and they run you. And the entire time we're fighting, it's to distract us from seeing that they're killing us. Sorry. Fuck me. God damn.
Yeah, you need to start your own political talk show, Brian.
Let's slow down for a second. We got a couple chats I want to talk about. I got really mad for just a second. I was getting really mad. This is a fun one up here. Someone said that we were banned from r/Reddit. Who said that?
All of Reddit?
Yeah, we were banned from r/Star Trek for a while. I don't know who said that, but I noticed it in there.
Dude, Reddit's such a cesspool.
It's a cesspool. It's Reddit's ran by like 13 mods? Like 13 people. 13 people run the entire website that aren't even part of Reddit admins. Like the top 10 subreddits on Reddit are owned by the same 10 people. And they own like 15 other subreddits that are top 25. And the top 50, like you go to the top 100 list and look at the top mods. I've done this. It's crazy. Look at the top 100 subreddits on the entire website, and you're going to notice the same 10 names over and over and over again. So Reddit is no longer owned by Reddit. Like, yes, the company owns Reddit, but really, the subreddits is what gives them power, and there's 10 people that own all of them, which is crazy. It's crazy, man. There's no way. And they took over our Star Trek like 6 years ago. It was like 6 or 7 years ago when it was owned by someone else. And the way they took it over, and you can see this guy's story, is they basically convinced the Reddit admins that r/Star Trek was not being moderated because of hate speech and all this stuff involving Discovery, right? And they got the Reddit admins to put a temporary suspension on it where it allowed them to hire other moderators. Well, then that moderator, freaking out because his subreddit's about to be banned, looked for other moderators, and these moderators offered their help. These moderators get invited in to help this mod, right, to fix their channel, and then within a month, the suspension's lifted, but guess who is no longer the mod anymore? The guy who owned it in the first place. So these mods, what they did was they reported it to the point where it got suspended, got the guy to let them help him, and then booted him out of his own mod and took over the channel.
Brian, you need to do a video on that. That is a fascinating story. I had no idea.
It's crazy. Reddit's a mess.
It's deep Reddit.
Deep Reddit.
The deep Reddit.
Yeah.
As opposed to the deep state.
The deep state, deep Reddit. I can't find that. Someone said we were banned. Anyways. Yeah, what else you guys got here? Frodo lives somewhere in the basic instructions before leaving Earth, aka the Bible. The good news is we will outnumber them at least for a while longer. It's true. Not much longer though. Isn't China growing pretty quick? They have a lot of people that live there, right?
Well, they still have the one-child policy, don't they?
Do they really? Oh my God.
I think so.
That's pretty bad. Don Ranger said our good friend or frenemy Overlord DVD made an epic rant about his love for Kevin Conroy's Batman and his call to boycott Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League. I love that rant. Yeah, is that game as bad as people are saying it is?
Well, first of all, it's a live service game, so like they're meant to micro transaction you to death. Second of all, like it's had so many technical issues. Like a lot of people paid extra money to get early access, and the servers were down for the early access, and so they missed their window that they paid extra for. The gameplay apparently isn't all that good. The story is turning a lot of people off. It's going to be a long road to see whether or not this game actually makes any money for Rocksteady or anything like that. But a lot of people aren't liking it, especially how they're treating the Justice League characters, because it's supposed to be canon within the Arkham universe, and a lot of people are like, this shouldn't be. It should be its own thing instead of being lumped in with the Arkham games because those are so good.
That's a bummer because the Arkham games are outstanding, and this looks like a cool game. I guess I'm gonna. Oh, it comes out on the 2nd. All right, I guess I'm gonna have to check that out in 2 days. I'll make that a members video. It looks pretty rad. Anyways, that's a bummer. I knew that it was going to be microtransaction to death when the original Arkham was super successful, but like you only had like the ability to like change the Batman costume. Like you can only change it to like from like classic to regular or whatever, like 3 options. I was like, well, that's a shame. I would love to customize this. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's where it starts.
No, some of the older Batman games, like you could unlock like tons of different Batman costumes throughout gameplay. They were like achievements essentially. Like you could unlock the Batman like 66 outfit and a bunch of other stuff. I think there was even some DLC where you could if you bought the DLC you got certain costumes that you could swap out. I think that was either the 3rd game or the 2nd game that did that.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta check it out. All right, we'll check that now out in upcoming. Like I'm gonna do this the Stargate video playthrough tomorrow, and then maybe this weekend I'll do a if I have time I'll do the Suicide Squad. Why not? Making a members video. There we go. Drew D, I agree with Shatner. All the things you can attack, and it's Star Trek from the 60s you're worried about. What about other religious books? Yeah, it's true. I got banned from something I posted in another Star Trek sub. Yeah, dude, I got banned too because I posted in Star_Trek, which is like the more free was the most free version before their ideology started to like leak their way into that sub too. Yeah, and my original account got banned. We played it cool with the podcast account, but we're really close to that account being banned too. It's impossible to talk on there. Like you can't be honest. So it's either if you're honest, you're banned, and if you're not honest, then you're not honest. So it's like easier just not post. What's funny is that new subreddit, like Star_Trek, which was more free, is starting to become just as bad, which makes me believe that there's probably mods, working behind the scenes to dissolve the competing subreddit.
Yeah, a lot of the subreddit stuff is slowly migrating over to Discord, where like they just create their own Discord servers, and that's where the people who are upset with Reddit censorship are moving to. So
wow. Yeah, there's also have you heard of the .win extension?
No.
Like Patriots.win. Basically, it looks like Reddit, but it's like a clone of Reddit, and like they have different, instead of subreddits, they have different like .com, like domains, like Patriots.win, Trump.win, Florida.win, like.
Yeah, didn't that start with like so originally there was a subreddit called the Donald.
Yeah,
and it was all in support of Donald Trump, and then like Reddit started like censoring it and banning it and stuff like that, and those people were like, okay, well, we'll just go create our own website, and they moved over, and then like they changed it from the Dawn to Patriots or like whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Yeah, and then now it's and they somehow got the .win, which is that's a pretty cool for the dot for like anything in relation to the Donald, the .win, category is pretty funny. Yeah, but now all the .wins are basically just subreddit clones of like whatever that topic is. So like if you like, I bet you there's a Star Trek one. I'm gonna try to find it. It might be a Star Trek .win.
Maybe you should start one.
Or maybe I should start one. Yeah. The Trek here, this August said the Trek mods got invited to some closed Discovery Press event as a kickback and pinned pics of it to the top of the sub, and then took them down when people called them shills and said it was a bad look. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. They should. I'm surprised they took them down. They should have just left them up, because like they're pretty blatant about their support, anyways. The big sub said merely typing their sub name there was a big brigade and not an incitement, and got it banned. That's crazy. Yeah, man. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. Oh, something else. DeSantis beat Disney in federal court. Oh, interesting. Notice that the media is not covering that. Where's that? Well, remember when it was front page news? Don't say gay bill, bro. First off, that was such extreme misinformation that my eyes rolled so far back so amount of my head I passed out. I couldn't control. I'm like reading these headlines. Don't say gay, but I'm like, this is the most extreme misuse of a headline ever. And now that he beat them, where are the reports? I want to know. I want to know if we're going to get the same wall-to-wall coverage we got during the Don't Say Gay bill. Come on, guys. Bro. Like, it's... Oh, my God. It just drives me nuts. Yeah, judge dismisses Disney lawsuit against federal governor Ron DeSantis. Yeah, all right. Let's can we plaster the news with that? Like, can we make sure everyone knows? Oh, it's so stupid.
That Taylor Lorenz rant about all the like journalists who are getting fired, and it's like, well, they're not really journalists; they're propagandists who are getting fired because they're too expensive. Yeah,
I saw that on Gary's feed, and he's like, I had this playing on a loop, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're propagandists, and their job is being done better by people that actually care and have nothing to lose. And that's the important part. Like I was talking to someone on Twitter yesterday, and he sent me a link to James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe had a tweet. He had a Twix, and his tweet was like, I'll show you. It was pretty scary stuff. This was last night sometimes. And he's basically like writing what appears to be a suicide letter, but saying he's not going to commit suicide. And he's like, I'm not afraid to die. I've lived a lot of lives. What's coming out tomorrow, is dangerous. And I'm like, if this guy is legit and he's like, I guess I'm not following him apparently. I probably should follow him. I'll follow him. Yeah. If he's legit, like a journalist that is getting the news, and I don't know much about him, but if he really is doing this because he is all about the morality of the story. You
don't know about James O'Keefe?
I mean, I've heard of him, but I haven't looked into him. Like, is he?
He was like, so he started Project Veritas.
I remember that, and they've kicked him out, right?
Well, yeah. He got kicked out due to politics, but so like he's like one of the true investigative journalists out there, and basically like he's done a lot of exposés on like a lot of high profile stories,
right?
And this that you're referencing here is basically like he's got stuff that's coming out that basically he's like, people are going to try and kill me to shut me up because it's so incendiary.
Yeah, and his friends believe that it just came out. There it is. It's only 13 minutes. I'm gonna watch.
Two federal agencies, the State Department.
Well, can you watch it after we're off the air?
Yeah. I'm watching later on. You're right. Sorry. Yeah. So, but reading that tweet, like, you know, I don't think there's not a lot of investigating. There's not a lot of truthful, honest journalists out there anymore, and that's why new media, if you want to call it that, is winning, because it's even when they're wrong, they're genuine. Like they're attempting to do the right thing.
Well, you know, it's going to be interesting this year as compared to 2020 is the fact that the government doesn't control Twitter anymore.
Right.
And so the question now becomes is like, can you have like a Hunter Biden laptop story that doesn't get suppressed because the government no longer controls all the social media? They just control 90% of it.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, you only have 90%. Right. Well, I mean, that's going to make Twitter pretty popular too. They're going to try to go after it. They're going to try to keep, you know, like the way they're going to do it too is like with this Taylor Swift stuff. When like they took it down really quickly because they didn't want to get in trouble. A lot of the policies and the stuff that Elon Musk pulled out of Twitter when he came in, some of it's starting to be added back because they don't want to, you know, lose Twitter, you know, because of laws and stuff. So there is a way to sort of control Twitter, and they've been trying to do it since. The pushback is when he literally just says, F off. Go F yourself. Like, I don't care about your boycott. I don't care about your collusion. I don't care about your laws. If it goes, it goes. Like, that's a pretty big deal. But we'll see what happens. All right. We're going to wrap it up, my friends. We love you so much. Thank you, Matt, for being here this whole time, dude. You're such a stud. 2.5
Bizarro
hours.
Shane. It's Bizarro Shane.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Bizarro Shane, for hanging out with us for 2.5 hours. It's been a fun time.
Actually, since I got the beard, it should be Evil Shane, right?
You need a goatee for that.
Mm-hmm.
Evil, yeah, the evil is the version of the goatee. Actually, Shane, I think Shane has a goatee. So technically, Shane is the mirror universe version. Yeah.
So am I good Shane?
you might be the good Shane. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. We'll be back on Friday at 10 a.m. and of course Matt on Saturday at 10 a.m. Hope you guys can join us, and we love you. We love you guys. It's been fun. Thank you for supporting us, members. Thank you for continuing your support, and you know, spread the word out there. Let's make Friday's show a good show, and hopefully Shane comes back with vigor and not on death's door. I love you guys. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Friday.